Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Dub Talk TV. Today, we've reached the third episode of our illustrious classic season. I am the hero, Classy Spartan. Before we jump right into the action, I have but a few words for you, the beautiful viewers out there. Warning. Dub Talk TV may contain language and content that may not be suitable for younger viewers. Listener discretion is advised. Also, this episode will contain spoilers for the show in question, so do keep that in mind if you have not yet watched the entire thing. This is a full series review, so please keep this in mind before watching. Also, the opinions expressed are that of the individual participants of tonight's episode and do not reflect the views of the Dub Talk TV series as a whole. And finally, we would like to take a moment to highlight some of our favorite sponsors for making tonight's show possible, including, but not limited to, Viz Media, Sunrise, Milfin Cookies, Carl's oh, hang on a second. What's that? Oh, really? Wait, what? Oh, what am I supposed to do? Oh, okay. Sure. Hang on a second. I've just received a word that our sponsorships cannot be shown because we will be appearing on Netflix, so our sponsorships will be removed from our uniforms. How odd. But enough about that. Time to get that heroic spirit into high gear, get those next powers flowing, and get all those pretty spandex boys into top form as Dub Talk TV takes us to Tiger and Bunny. Enjoy.
Hello and welcome to Dub Talk, where a group of costume heroes come together to shield giant corporations and talk about anime dubs. My name is Jet, and tonight I'm joined by Roots.
Sponsored by Eagle's Head Alcohol.
Lilac.
I hope that's not an actual brand name.
I saw the freaking Umaro blooper that Jamal put together with your mini commercial, and it's priceless, by the way. Yeah, and sponsored by, what do I have that I can be sponsored by here? Sponsored by Anime, the best sponsor in the world.
Okay, and
I am the Classy Spartan, and I am
Lord.
here to show the world about when you're feeling tired, you can drink a nice, refreshing Red Bull, because it gives me wings every time I fly into the heat of battle.
How dare you interrupt our host, you son of a bitch! How
And
dare you!
every time you mention that name. Every
How-
time you mention the
Every time you
name, like
mention
a
that he's going to
nickel
get wings.
flies into your bank account.
yes, it does.
We're not actually
Okay,
sponsored.
so
We are
Full
no way
disclosure.
sponsored by anything.
yes, we have no
We
actual
have
sponsors.
no sponsors.
We don't want any corporations coming after us, please.
Give us money, please, companies.
Like I don't mind being
Please.
I don't mind being sponsored, but I don't want to be harassed for illegal sponsorships because we're not sponsored by anything. We're only sponsored by our own idiocy, ladies and gentlemen.
Alright. So anyway, the reason why we're all shilling corporations here is because tonight we're going back in time. Before there were Hero Academias. Before there were bald guys and capes punching everything in one punch. And before we had gay figure skaters. To an age where instead we had...
I like the connection. We go on the superhero path and then we end with Yuri on Ice, which is in no way involving superheroes. I love that progression right there.
Let the man finish his segment.
I'm sorry, I had to laugh.
Okay, and so instead of those things, we are here to instead talk about a superhero romance. Yes, we are here to talk about the dubs of the hit Sunrise series, Tiger and Bunny.
The ambiguously gay duo. The ambiguously gay
The
duo.
superhero bromance.
Du- du- du-
Superhero
du-
bromance. That is the best way. That is the best way.
sitting 5
Surprise, ladies and gentlemen, No. Surprise, folks, you thought this was a regular Dub Talk episode, but it is Dub Talk Classics.
Oh, yes. So how do Dub Talk Classics work again, Jet?
That's right, yes. So instead of doing predictions or any of that stuff, we're just going straight down the cast members, all the directors, scriptwriters, that sort of thing, and just giving our general thoughts.
Not to mention the fact that for Classics, several of us have never seen this show before, and the host is the one most familiar with this.
Exactly.
Yes, indeed. So, Andrew and Lilac have never seen this show before.
Nope.
And Roots has like a passing knowledge of this show.
Yeah, I watched like the first half of it dubbed back when Neon Alley was a thing. And then
I missed Neon Alley.
second half I finally got to when, of all people, Netflix got it. Which was literally a week before this episode was recorded.
You're right. I forgot about that. No, for me, my story's funny. So a couple of years ago, we decided to do this thing called a dub exchange, where we were like an anime exchange of some kinds. We were giving each other shows to watch. Jet gave me Tiger and Bunny, and I never watched it until now for this specific episode. And Jet, I'm imagining you're very proud that I finally watched it.
Yes. Some might say this whole dumb classic thing was all according to Keikaku and is just like that because I like to watch the show.
I mean, let's be honest here. Like, all the Dub Talk Classic episodes we've all picked were basically from that list. So...
Pretty much, actually. Because I know when Jet was like, I want to do a Dub Talk Classics episode for Tiger and Bunny. Steph, make sure you're signed up. What?
It's like nobody was fighting it. This was Jet's baby.
This is Jet's baby.
I'm excited to get into this.
Yes.
Yep. Okay, so for those unfamiliar with this series, because it has been a long while at this point,
A little while, yeah.
Tiger and Bunny takes place in a world where superhumans known as Next come together to fight crime as heroes on a show known as Hero TV. Kotetsu Kaburagi, aka Wild Tiger, is a down-on-his-luck veteran hero who's in danger of falling behind the times, when he's suddenly forced to team up with a hotshot newbie named Barnaby Brooks Jr., who also happens to have the same power he does. The two of them seem like an odd match, but together they just might become the greatest superhero duo ever.
And hence the bromance part.
That's like, yes, the bromance part, which really kind of helped to get a very unexpected audience for this show, because this show was originally supposed to be for, like, middle-aged adults, but instead they got Fujoshi, because, duh.
Wow.
All I'm going to say is...
Because, hold on.
No. You say that, and I'm thinking, like, wait, did it really? And now I'm thinking about it, I'm like...
Yeah.
Considering how much the minds of Fujoshi work sometimes, I'm not surprised actually.
Have you seen those men?
Joke I flubbed. I need to review the joke I flubbed earlier.
Okay.
Two bros chilling in a hot tub, 5 feet apart, cause they're not gay.
In their defense, those men are very pretty.
They are very pretty.
Yes, they are.
But let's face it, we all know who the true hero is eventually when we get to him. I'll just say that.
Yes, we do. Okay, so I guess we'll get started. So, as with pretty much every episode, we're going to kick things off with our ADR directors and scriptwriters. I say this in multiples because we do have multiple people for both of these things.
Do we have confirmation for a scriptwriter? Because I know, no, actually, you probably would know more than anyone.
He's the one who researched. He's the one who
researched. Yeah, because ANN doesn't list any writers on this.
Okay, well, I actually do own the Blu-ray, so I do know who the writers listed are.
Sweet.
Okay, so for our ADR directors, we have Suzanne Goldish and Xavier Simone, the actual head of Studiopolis himself.
Really?
Wow, okay. I didn't know they were in charge of Studiopolis.
Jamie Simone is Suzanne Goldish is just like one of the regulars they use pretty often.
That's cool.
Okay.
Okay, and as for the scriptwriters, brace yourself, kids, because we have not one, not 2, but 5 script writers on this show.
You're kidding me right now.
I am not kidding. It is 5 people.
Oh my god! And I thought the staffing of New Game was gonna be like insane, but holy fuck!
All right. Let's go lightning round, Jet. Who writes the show?
Please.
Okay, so going down the full list. Sorry, we have Ardrite Chamberlain, Jamie Simone, Liam O'Brien, Sam Riegel, and Steve Kramer. Okay, so going down some of Suzanne Goldish's other directing credits, they include Bleach, of course, Katie Animation, The Viz redub for Sailor Moon, and as for Jamie Simone, he has directed such shows as Afro Samurai, the Madhouse Marvel shows, some parts of Naruto, and Tenkai Nights. Script-wise, Ardrite Chamberlain has worked on a lot of things for Studiopolis, such as Naruto, Digimon Adventure, and Glitter Force. Liam O'Brien has done scripts for Code Geass, Dear S, and Gun X Sword. Sam Riegel has done scripts for Tweety Witches, Mega Man Star Force, and Shingu Secret of Stellar Wars. And Steve Kramer has done scripts for shows such as Blackjack, Blue Dragon, and some parts of Monster. And as far as Jamie Simone goes, this was the only writing credit of his that I could actually find.
Okay, interesting.
So, thoughts on these 5 people? Does anyone want to start?
I guess I'll start. I thought all around, this was a solid, genuine, like, lighthearted buddy cop superhero, like, corporate movie. And I think the dialogue, the chemistry between all these people really sells that. Because the whole crux of this, both on the camera and off camera, is the character dynamics and chemistry. So you gotta have everybody sort of bouncing off each other, bouncing off one another. And I think the dialogue and the delivery of all of that really reflects and really helps this show out quite a lot. I'm not surprised that there was a lot of writing going on, because this is a show with a lot of different styles and stories to tell, and I think sometimes you need different people to reflect that. But all in all, it seemed like everything sort of came together, and it wasn't like one episode sounded vastly different than the other to me. I think it all worked and blended very nicely.
Okay, anyone else?
So, there's one thing that I demand from a show like this that Tiger and Bunny does really, really well. Banter.
Yes.
In a
I can
city,
agree with this.
The city of Sternbild feels alive. And anime set in very urban settings demand that. You know, Blood Blockade Battlefront, Bacano, that kind of thing. And Tiger and Bunny does that exceptionally well. It feels snappy. Characters interact in a way that feels like the actors are still in the same room, which is really apparently hard to do. And that's my piece.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that. The banter is I love the banter in the show. I mean, especially between all of our heroes. The banter is just so much fun, and you can tell it doesn't seem like they're recording separately, which I would imagine that's how it works. Because that's the norm. Like, you usually record your parts separately and go in order of some kind. But it doesn't feel that way, and it's really nice, and I like that. The script is also very straightforward and has a lot of that witty banter too. My only big problem, and I'm realizing this now, because I literally just finished the show a half hour ago for the first time. My only thing, and I think this is kind of a disadvantage with California dubs, at least back then, because Tiger and Bunny was probably dubbed. Tiger and Bunny came out, 2011, so it probably was dubbed maybe a year or so after that. The disadvantage that I think California dubs will sometimes have is their talent pool, because when we get to it, we're actually going to have a first on the show and cover a voice actor twice as 2 separate roles. So the fact that there was a lot of repetitive like voices being used. Like I heard Kirk Thornton in like 20 frickin' roles in the entirety of that show, for instance. And again, this individual, when we get to him later on, he was at least part of two major villain arcs at both halves of the show. It's kind of a bit of a disadvantage. It doesn't hinder the performance of this individual person in particular, because both of them were good and he managed to keep them as separate entities. But it's a bit of a disadvantage when you don't have as much of a talent pool to really give people more variety, and you don't double cast people. I mean, nowadays, of course, with the California pool being a bit larger and you're having newer talent, because I think at the time you wouldn't see your Max Middlemans or your Erica Mendez's or Harletchers and things like that. Because the talent pool is now expanded a lot more in California, obviously this has been avoided a bit more, but in Tiger and Bunny's case, this is kind of very prevalent. With a lot of double casting or triple casting or quadruple casting in Kirk Thornton's case. Good lord. But that's probably the only disadvantage I would think the show would have in terms of directing and writing, but everything else was very solid.
You know, it's interesting. I'm sorry, Jet.
I think that's a fair assessment, too. One thing I do kind of want to say about that specifically is that it's kind of the mentality of, like, Studiopolis versus, like, say, Bang Zoom. Because Bang Zoom actually is, like, relatively decent about casting a pretty wide net,
right,
because they bring in a lot of new people and stuff like that.
Right.
Studiopolis, on the other hand, like, J.B. Simone likes to cast, like, very specific people, like, very well-known people.
Okay.
And that was kind of, like, the general vibe of his stuff. So it wasn't, like, necessarily that, like, they had a limited talent pool. It's more just, like, all the people he brought in specifically.
So it was more of a studio choice than anything, then?
Yeah,
okay.
It's like more of a studio choice.
Okay, because I think this is probably the first Studiopolis series that I've gotten the chance to talk about, and I'm compared to you, Jen, I'm less familiar with Cali Dubs than you are, and I know I've talked more, at least a few more Bang Zoom ones compared to Studiopolis, so that's definitely very interesting. If they usually just go with more of the well-named talent, just stick with that. But I mean, if with Studiopolis was the same studio that did like Bleach and Naruto, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
There's your problem. You got long-running shows too that you're working on. You would think you could pull some more people from those shows to come over here. I mean, the argument, you have a good argument there. It's just at the same time, it's like you still have to bring in more people.
Yeah,
it's funny you say that because there's a lot of there's a lot of recasting in Bleach too.
I know, but at the same time, it's like you still have so many characters.
Yeah.
But it's like you can still bring more people in.
Yeah, I mean, it has been a problem. They've gotten better about that, like mostly because of Sailor Moon, but they've gotten a little bit better about that over the years. So I'm pretty glad for that. Okay, so as far as my thoughts go, so Cali Dubs can be kind of back and forth when it comes to like voice direction specifically, but Studiopolis dubs are generally pretty reliable in that area, and Suzanne Goldis and Jamie Simone are typically very good at what they do. The show's direction is solid, and everyone here manages to more or less turn a good performance. This dub does have a lot of multicasting, as we've said, which is kind of the norm for Studiopolis stuff for whatever weird reason. But the quality of the direction here is more than enough to compensate for that. And I feel like the two of them do a great job of really getting you sucked into the show's atmosphere. And as far as the script goes, I really like that script a lot. Okay, so if you've heard me on this show at any point in time, you know that I can get very vocal when it comes to liberal translations of dub scripts. But I've always believed that liberal translations could actually work if the writers are really careful not to mess with the context of the show or any of the scenes they're writing, and to try and keep everyone in character as much as possible. So the script for this show is very liberal, but it always manages to sit the landing in those areas. And most of the tweaks it does are namely just there to help the dialogue feel natural more than anything else. Now, like, one thing I really liked is, like, right in the beginning of the first episode, where Kentetsu meets his new boss. And, like, in the Japanese script, his boss asked him how he's supposed to, like, read the kanji for Kentetsu's name. Well, in English, the line is something like, "I see your name, but how do I read it?" Whatever. And, like, it's a pretty minor thing, but it really does a lot to, like, maintain the flow of that scene without really changing the context too much. And the dubs really sprinkled a whole bunch of things like that. Like, honestly, I'm gonna be honest and say, like, this script has kind of become, like, my gold standard for what I want to see in liberal dub scripts. And, like, pretty much ever since the first time I heard it. And it's part of the reason why I really like this dub. And, another really fun fact about this dub is that Sunrise themselves also really like this dub.
Really?
And, yes, and apparently they were so happy with how it turned out, they actually got the dub to air in Japan to serve that as an example of how effective English dubs can be. So let it not be said that Japan does not care about what we do.
Alright, cool.
Okay, so anyway, like I would say, this dub actually aired in Japan, which is pretty interesting because that doesn't normally happen.
And
yeah.
yet, Sunrise, we have a bone to pick with you later.
That's interesting.
Yes, we do.
We have a bone to pick with you.
Okay, so any other thoughts, or are we ready to move on?
It's good.
we're
Me
good.
likey.
You know, actually, it kind of reminds me of the Space Dandy, where they repurpose Funimation's Blu-ray trailers for Japan for the condensed Blu-ray box.
Oh, that's cool.
You know the live-action ones?
Yeah, I think I remember those.
Yeah, those got repurposed for Japan.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, I remember seeing that, but that is super, super cool. Good to see Japan's got good taste sometimes.
Okay, so I guess we're ready to move on then. So we're going to start diving into some of my characters. First up, we have the Kaburagi family. We have Kaede, Anju, and Murabasa. Kaede is Kotetsu's 10-year-old daughter who hates the fact that he's never around, while Anju is Kotetsu's elderly mother, and Murabasa is his serious older brother. So playing these 5 people, for Kaede, we have Eden Regal. Playing Anju, we actually have Kerry Walgren, surprisingly enough. And for Murabasa, we have, of course, Mr. Thornton.
One of his 20 roles in the show. God damn it!
At least he's playing a good person in this one. Most of his other bit roles are like the worst people.
Okay, well he does get a couple of those roles in this show.
I know. He's probably the nicest person in the world. He's always the bit person asshole.
Yep. Okay, so Eden Regal is known more for, like, video games and live-action roles, but some of her other work includes Koan in the Viz redub of Sailor Moon, Chihiro from Phoenix, and you're probably going to be interested in this one, Andrew, Marie from Persona 4 The Golden.
Oh! Is she?
Yes,
Surprise, motherfucker!
Wow! Kaede, you're cute, but I'm sorry that in Persona you're the worst fucking girl. Fucking fight me.
Okay, Kerry Walgren plays another character in this show that we'll get to later, but she has a pretty extensive resume. Some of which includes Haruko from Fooly Cooly, Fu from Samurai Champloo, and of course, Celty Sterlson from Durara. And Kirk Thornton, as we mentioned already, plays a few other incidental characters in the show, and he has a pretty long track record with anime, some of which includes Saito Hajime from Yuri Kenshin, Gabumon from Digimon Adventure, and Father Fujimoto from Blue Exorcist. So, any thoughts on these 3?
But let's see, the mom does a good job at being a mom. The brother does a good job being Kirk Thornton brother. He's very supportive and stuff. And
Kirk Thornton, brother.
That
is the best way to describe
he
it.
does a good job at being a thorn in his brother's side.
Go sit in the corner and think about what you've done, young man.
My recording spot already is a corner, Mom. Okay.
Go into another corner that's not your recording spot.
I
then.
hate you so much right now.
Anyways,
Hey,
aside
Andrew.
from that, what?
Here's my hip flask. Go ahead and take a nip. You earned it. Go ahead.
God damn it, Roots,
Take a
don't
nip.
encourage him. Don't encourage him, you bastard.
Take a little nip
Stop
of the
it.
creature.
No!
Oh my god.
Stop it.
Okay, aside from that, I think Kirk Thornton does a pretty good job at being the supportive brother. He's not there for long, but he does a pretty good job. Kaede's does a really good job at kind of mixing adorable while also being justifiably bratty and bitchy. Which is kind of understandable given, like, she lost her mom, her dad's never around, and she's, like, a growing girl who's kind of in that period between, like, adolescence and teenagerhood where she's dealing with the fact where it's like, I don't like dolls, these cute boys on these magazines are kind of good, and the dad is like, hey, you like that doll, right? No, that doll looks gross and weird. Whoops! Slides the bag underneath the car.
That was great.
But yeah, no, I like her as Kaede a lot. I think she adds a nice, like, mix between not being too young while not being too old either, and I think it works.
Okay, what about you, Lilac?
Slight timeout. We're covering the daughter, the brother, and the grandma, right?
Yes.
Oh.
Well, the mom, technically, but yeah.
The mom or the grandma?
Kotetsu's mom, Kaede's
Kotetsu's
grandma.
mom.
Yes, okay, Kotetsu's mom, like,
Okay.
I actually did try to look for Kotetsu's wife, but I could not find out who that person was.
Okay.
She was busy
Yeah.
being dead.
Oh boy. So, I mean, there's not much to say about Kirk Thornton. Kirk Thornton is generally amazing in everything he does, even if it is 20 million roles in this one show. I'm not gonna let that go. I'm not letting that go, Studiopolis. Like, no. God, who else we got? Kaede. First of all, Kaede? I don't... Is it Kaede or Kaede?
It's Kaede.
First of all. No,
It's
no,
Kaede.
I mean, like, the actual pronunciation. Not the show's interpretation of it.
Honestly, I don't have a clue.
I don't either.
It's
like,
been forever since I've watched the Japanese version, so I
it's
honestly
like,
could not tell you.
why? Why? But I think Eden Regal was pretty adorable. It was a little obnoxious to start off with, but kind of going into a bit further in the show, I kind of got used to it. And I'm blanking on names already. Who plays Grandma?
I said that was actually Carrie Walgren pulling double duty, but we'll get to that later.
Oh, I didn't know it was Kari Walgren. Shit. Oh man, more double duty.
Okay, don't feel bad. I actually didn't know that until I was looking through the credits for this episode.
So,
and I've watched this dub like 5 or 6 times.
Okay.
I didn't know.
I never knew that.
I didn't know it was Kari. I didn't know it was Kari Walgren. Which, first of all, it's Kari, not Carrie or Kari.
Is it
it's
Kari?
It's Kari. Here's the way you know. My first Anime Boston, she was a guest there, and I went to her panel. She taught us how to pronounce her name. Just think of Kari like Ferrari.
Okay, Kari. That's good to know, especially
Kari Walgren.
especially for later. All right.
Yes. Yeah, Kari, I mean, I didn't know that was Kari Walgren. It kind of blows my mind that it was her. But she did good as Grandma. Yeah, I enjoyed all 3 of these, even though 2 out of the 3 were, like, double cast in the show. It blows my mind. Studiopolis, come on. I know you can pull in more people at that time. Why? I don't understand. But anyway, I'm good.
Okay, what about you, Roots?
Alright, so, Kirk Thornton does a really good job as the jerk with the point. First and foremost.
The jerk
Like,
with
he
the
is-
point at a liquor store.
Like, he is an ass in this, but you can tell he has a point. Like, he's calling Kotetsu out on all his shit. And you want to be kind of mad about it, but you know he kind of deserves it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So, Kari Walgren as the, as Kotetsu's mother, kind of also to the same effect. She seems like the kind of grandma who would smack sense into you. And, Enrico as Kaede. I mean, what can I say? Andrew kind of hit it in the head. And, are we gonna cover her plot point? Is it okay to talk about that?
There's a spoiler warning from the beginning.
Oh, sure.
I'm about to say we have spoiler warnings for a reason, so.
Okay.
It's fine. We're going to have to deal with the big spoilers anyway.
Yeah.
Two of these characters, so it's
I mean,
fine.
Andrew and Lilac didn't cover it, so I wasn't sure if it was
No, you may
taboo or
just
not.
go for
No,
it.
you may go.
Okay,
with it.
so her figuring out her next power and then being one of the key points in the second half of the second core.
She basically
Where she
turned
kind
into a
of really
MacGyver.
grows
She kind of turned into like a Deus Ex Machina device in a sense.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of how many Deus Ex Machinas there were in that ending, but I digress.
Yeah, well, yeah, I certainly get that. Okay, so as for me, like I said before, I've seen this dub a few times at this point, and I honestly had no idea until I was looking through the credits that Kari Walgren,
Kari.
was Kotetsu's mom. So that really goes to show how wide her vocal range is, because I could honestly not tell that was her, and she was really believable in that role. As far as Kirk Thornton goes, the fact that he pops up in a few other bit roles here does kind of dull the impact of his performance here a little bit. But I did think he did a good job of playing the stern big brother type, and it did kind of make for a good contrast to how goofy Kotetsu was, so you could probably imagine the kind of dynamic they had while growing up. And then for Eden Regal, I'll admit that when I was thinking of a cast for this show way back when, this was actually where I wanted Kari Walgren to be. But Eden Regal does a really fantastic job. There were a couple of moments early on where I thought she sounded like maybe a little bit too old for the character, but she did get in character really quickly, and she really sold like how strained the relationship between her and Kotetsu was. And also, I'm not gonna lie, when I rewatched the show for this and I got to episode 17, I actually teared up a little bit when she gave Kotetsu that drawing of their family.
That was really cute.
That was so cute.
Oh my god, when she first activated those powers, she's just like, I gotta give this to Dad! It's so cute!
Like, I wasn't sure if they were implying she just got that, or if that was her first time using that and being like... She seemed like she knew what she was doing, though, but hey.
Maybe, I don't know. They don't really say.
It seemed like it had like literally just awakened right there.
Yeah.
Which I guess would have been interesting if that didn't happen and she was running across the train. But
she would have been dead.
She's a tough cookie,
She would have
so you
been
never
fucking
know.
dead. No, she would have died.
Alright.
Sorry, she would have if her powers didn't wake up and she just didn't stop at the end of the platform. She would have died.
But yeah, it's, just to wrap up, I thought Eden was really good and convincing, and the other two were serviceable.
okay, so are you ready to move on?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so next up we're going to get to some of the fine folks involved in the hero show business. We have Ben Jackson, Alexander Lloyds, Agnes Jobert, and Doc Saito. So Ben is Kotetsu's former boss and close friend, while Alexander Lloyds is his new boss who's kind of a pain in the neck. Agnes is Hero TV's key producer who is pretty obsessed with making sure the show gets the highest ratings possible. And Doc Saito is the quote-unquote quiet scientist in charge of making the suits for each hero.
I'm sorry, Doc Saito is hilarious, and I love him, and I love who voices him because it's funny.
Real
The fact
talk,
that this person
there
voices
was
him.
physically no way for us to actually really judge Doc Saito until, like, the last 3 episodes.
Pretty much.
I know he was there before that. He was there before that. If you were like paying attention to the line speed.
I understand, but you
And then
had
I think there were also moments where like he was talking to Tiger and Bunny like through the suits too. So
Yeah.
there are little bits and moments where you can hear him, but he kind of gets to shine a bit more in the last few episodes of the show because he has that little loudspeaker on his head.
Yes, but who gets to shine as him?
So going down the list of these actors, playing Ben, we have Mr. Okay, and I'm sorry if I get this wrong, Mr. Bu Billingsley. Playing Alexander Lloyds, we have Darren Norris. For Agnes, we have Tara Platt. And for Doc Saito, we have Mr. Dave Wittenberg.
Huzzah! Motherfucking Kakashi! Let's go! I'm on board!
Yep. So Bu Billingsley has been around for a long time, and seems to have picked up a lot more work recently. But you know him for roles such as the Raikage in Naruto Shippuden, Barrett from Final Fantasy Advent Children, and of course, Jet Black from Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah, buddy.
Tara Platt is also a pretty familiar face in anime, and you know her for roles such as Tamari from Naruto, Ava Heidemann from Monster, and Mitsuo Kirito from Persona 3. Dave Wittenberg is another anime veteran, and some of his work includes Henry from Digimon Tamers, Kei Kusanagi from Please Teacher, and of course Kakashi from the Naruto franchise. Darren Norris, on the other hand, only has a few anime roles, such as Mercurymon from Digimon Frontier, Ray from Fist of the North Star. But he's better known for some of his roles in Western animation, some of which includes, and brace yourself for this.
If you tell me he's a voice of Lex Luthor,
I need to know.
Totally
No.
Damn
He's
it,
not
okay.
that.
No.
No, he's
Okay.
not that. But he is. No, let me finish.
I need to
Okay.
know. Shut up.
Bruce,
Sorry, I'm bracing myself.
Don't you dare interrupt me.
I'm sorry, I'm bracing myself
he
here.
Please
is-
proceed.
Okay, so he is the voices of Cosmo, Timmy's dad, and Jorgen von Strangle from The Fairly Odd.
That's
You're
why
fucking
he sounded
lying.
so familiar.
You're fucking lying to me right now.
No.
You're lying to me.
It doesn't stop there. He's also Gordy the janitor from the Classified School Survival Guide for anyone who remembers that show.
Oh my god!
Wow.
You're a lying sack of shit!
No, I am not
What the
joking.
fuck? My childhood! I don't know anything anymore. Whoa! Wait, Cosmo and Timmy's dad.
Yes, Cosmo, Timmy's
Yep,
dad,
it's the
and
same
Jorgen
voice.
von Strangle.
How the fuck does
He
that
was all three of
happen?
them.
Okay, if that's not some black magic bullshit right there,
It-
I don't know what is.
See, I could hear it as soon as you mentioned it, but that was bugging me the
I
whole
still
show.
don't.
That was bugging me the whole show. Like, where have I heard this voice before? It sounds so
don't.
familiar.
That's why I was like, if you tell me he plays like a Lex Luthor from some sort of Superman cartoon, I would have believed it. Because that's what it reminded me of. Like, his voice and that character type right there, that's what it instantly reminded me of. I'm like, this is going to be a Lex Luthor character. I'm like, shit. Though, to be fair, since you originally omitted 2 people from the show, I knew he wasn't going to be a baddie in the end. So I'm like, but this guy still reminds me, like, has such vibes of, like, a Lex Luthor type of character. So I would have been like, if you told me this guy voiced a Lex Luthor in some kind of version where Superman is involved, I would have believed you. I'm like, shit, okay.
Oh, God.
All
You
right.
guys are about to kill me. You guys are about to kill me.
But
What?
Cosmo? Motherfucking Cosmo? What? Oh my god.
Kotetsu, I'm gonna respect your privacy by knocking, but I'm going to assert my authority as your boss by busting the door down.
I was thinking of making that joke. I was thinking of making that joke, but I forgot exactly how it went. Thank you for that. Okay. Okay.
Okay, so we gotta get serious. We gotta get serious.
Okay.
Serious? What's that? We never know when it gets serious around here, guys.
So, where do we begin? Where do we begin?
Do you want me to keep going since I kind of just started going into my thoughts at this point?
Sure.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Okay, so Darren Norris, aside from me not still believing he was in Fairly Odd Parents, again, like, he fit the character type that Lloyd's was in my head, again, which was like a Lex Luthor, like, billionaire, head honcho CEO kind of type, and it worked very well. God, where's my list? Who are we also at? I don't get to hear Bo Billingsley enough. I'm so happy I got to hear him here. Him as Ben was a lot of fun to listen to, and he's definitely a good companion to Kotetsu, Wild Tiger, throughout the course of the series. My only criticism, though, there wasn't enough Ben. I wanted more Ben.
That's fair.
I wanted more Ben. Tara Platt, I'm glad you brought up the Ava Heinemann credit from Monster. This is another Ava Heinemann to me. And I knew it the instant Agnes opened her mouth. Which, Ava, if you're familiar with Monster, Ava Heinemann's a fucking bitch.
Is Ava his ex-wife?
She is. No, she's like his
ex-fiance.
Okay,
ex-fiance.
right.
They never got married.
Yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah, ex-fiance. They never got married. And Ava's character is a conniving little bitch who just wants to be rich and comfortable. And she's daddy's little girl and this kind of shit.
I think she's much better than Ava, but I see where you made the comparison.
Yeah, but with Agnes's character, it's really only similar in the fact that Agnes, she cares about ratings. She cares about Hero TV being the biggest thing in the world. And you can see how much Agnes kind of becomes a bitch in order to get the job done. And
she's a shark.
who was her counterpart that was with her most of the time? I don't know the character's name, but I'm blanking on who voices them.
Okay, do you mean like the camera guy?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, that was obviously Keith Silverstein.
Okay, yes. I figured that'd be Keith Silverstein, which is a funny thing because Johan exists in this world, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, like the dialogue and the banter between her and Keith's character in the show was very interesting because one of the big plot points of this show, really, and one of the big themes is superheroes more being a corporate thing. And because you see on their costumes all the names of their sponsors and all this stuff, and the whole issue with ratings and trying to get large audiences to watch the show, it becomes a very prevalent theme throughout the course of it. And Agnes, not Ava, is definitely one of the central points for that, because that's basically what she cares about. And I thought Tara Platt was phenomenal with that. Dave Wittenberg, though, I'm sorry, because I'm familiar with him as Kakashi. I'm also familiar with him as Solomon from Blood Plus, which I will admit, Solomon is a terrible fucking character, but I love that character to pieces. He didn't deserve what he got, and I know Megan will fight me on it. But seeing Dave Wittenberg basically be a very, very quiet person, like he's not even audible. Like he's like really, really, really tiny little whispers. You can't really hear anything he says the whole time. It's really interesting to see that. And then whenever you actually hear him, it's very like upbeat and kind of perky and more happy-go-lucky in a sense, which is weird for the character itself. But that's really only because he's just using like a megaphone or a microphone just to amplify his voice. So, but it's still a lot of fun. I think Dave Wittenberg was definitely one of the more funny and interesting casting choices for the show as Doc Saito, in my opinion.
All right. So, let's see. Starting out with... let's start with Ben, because Bo has one of the sexiest voices I've ever heard. And
that's why I said the show needed more Ben.
And he's fantastic every time I hear him, because I've finally been watching Outlaw Star for the first time, and he's the narrator for every single episode of Outlaw Star. It's like, oh boy, I'm ready to get into this, because that dude sounds awesome. Agnes sounds really good. She sounds exactly the right level of authoritative and sassy, while also being really eccentric and into the idea of ratings and being like, this is gonna be the best ever, or I'm tired of dealing with your shit, Kotetsu, god damn it, just fucking put on your mask. You know, it's like, I feel like she was, she cared enough about these people, but was also kind of like, I'm not in the mood for any of your shit, please, just do what you gotta do, okay? Mr. Lloyd's boy, now that I know that that was goddamn Cosmo, suddenly the entire, like, it's like a cloud cleared over. I never looked that up because I'm like, he sounds familiar, but I'm sure Jet's gonna tell me. I'm so glad I went into that blind because holy shit. He's really...
I am too.
He's really good. He's really good, and he sounds the right level of authoritative corporate man to really be good at his job and being condescending, and I thought he was fantastic. I think he really added a lot to a character I probably would not have cared about in like almost any other circumstance. And Dave Wittenberg, I know it's a shock to some if you've ever heard Kakashi, but he is straight up in the original Persona 4, he is Teddy. So I've heard him do weird comedic dopey, but even then I'm still surprised because he's this giant technological goofball when you get to hear him audibly, and I think he does a lot to make this character fun, energetic, and really amusing for the episodes he actually does get to do things. And
Okay.
yeah.
Sorry.
No.
Yeah, go ahead, Rich.
Are you all done, Andrew?
Yeah, I'm done. I'm wrapped. I'm sorry.
Okay. Let's see here. Who do I begin with? Yeah, I agree with everyone else that the show needed more Ben. Because holy shit, Bo Billingsley can sell his character. Oh my god. Like, Bo Billingsley was just... He almost seemed like Jet. Like Jet Black. In a way. Because he's the, he's sort of the older brother figure to Kotetsu. And that was really nice. Let's see here. Who do I want to do next? Yeah, I really like the fact that they managed to figure out a really good balance for Agnes, where she's, you know, authoritative and sharkish, but she does have a bit more personality to her. I think I summed up my opinion on Dan Norris with my little joke earlier. Which, by the way, I had caught that cast announcement as it was being made. I had to do a double take because I recognize that name. And just a word of warning, there is another one coming up.
Oh boy.
There is another one coming up, and you are...
Oh man, I'm excited now. Can't wait for more bullshit to
flip.
call. I'm gonna lose it, aren't I?
I'm excited.
Oh yeah.
Let's see where this goes.
And Dave Wittenberg.
He's adorable.
Oh my god.
He's adorable.
I'm used to his high register because that was a voice he used for a couple of other shows like Zatch Bell and Digimon. So I'm used to it, but what I really like is that it's really subtle, but if you go up to your TV and really listen, he actually says everything.
Yeah, he does say everything. It's not just him actually mumbling.
I
It's
know
really
he actually says it, and I've heard it a couple of times, but even then, it's just like I have to go up to the TV to actually hear it.
And then, you know, when he's got the megaphone helmet, that's just great. He's just a big old nerd, and he's cool. 13 out of 10 would talk shop.
Yeah, okay, so I guess I'll go. Alright, so, like, for a really fun fact, like, if you've ever actually, like, seen Darren Norris, he looks almost exactly like Mr. Lloyd's. So I honestly, like, literally the exact same haircut and everything. So I almost wouldn't be surprised if they brought him in for that reason. But jokes aside, given his whole, like, track record in Western animation, Darren Norris is really great at comedy, so throwing him into this show and having him play the stuck-up boss instead is, like, pure gold. And you can tell he was just really having a lot of fun with it. And the same with him as the announcer, because he was also the announcer, just to kind of show how much rage he has. As for Bo Billingsley, it really does suck that he's kind of been absent from anime until recently, because he does a really great job of playing, like, paternal figures, like Jet from Bebop. And he brings that same level of supportive quality here, since Ben really does do his best to look out for Kotetsu. And I'm pretty glad he more or less gets his job back in the end, because I would have been upset if that didn't happen. I also really like Tara Platt as Agnes, since she did a great job of being snooty as Ava and Monster, and she delivers on that same level of attitude here. I mean, I'm kind of a little sad the show didn't do more with her, because I kind of liked the way she played off of characters like Kotetsu and the cameraman when it came to comedy. And then for Dave Wittenberg, well, honestly, this wasn't my first time hearing him in a goofy role, because I had long since played the original Persona 4 dub. But I really got a kick of how snarky Doc Saito is, and all the moments where he was screaming to the loudspeaker had me in stitches. One thing I also really liked, towards the back half of the show, was how he and Ben played off of each other during the last arc. I would totally be down for more stuff just with those two characters, because they just really played off each other really well.
Can I just say that I also love the fact that in the end, Ben is now hired to work at Apollon, and he basically works with Doc Saito.
I know, it didn't seem like he was, hired to work there. He is, the new boss now.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Lord that specifically calls him boss.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think he took over.
Might have, yeah. Which would have been fucking awesome. Go, Ben! This is why the show needed more Ben, because Ben is awesome.
Yeah. So any other thoughts?
I like them all. They did a really good job. They were enjoyable side characters and pleasant surprises.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm looking at who we're going to talk about next. Oh, baby.
Yep.
Oh, baby.
It's finally time to start diving into heroes a little bit. Or should we say anti-heroes, kind of, sort of. Okay, so next up we have Yuri Petrov, aka Lunatic, and Mr. Legend. So Lunatic is a vigilante who believes that criminals should pay for their crimes and death, and targets anyone who he feels deserves his judgment.
He's the Punisher. He's the Punisher.
Yeah.
And he's also a lawyer in real life.
Yes.
Matt Murdock the Punisher is an interesting combo.
That's
It
great.
is.
So Mr. Legend, on the other hand, is a legendary hero known for stopping more criminals than any other hero in the history of hero TV.
He is the best, coolest guy in the world, and nothing happened.
And there's a secret Jet, I think, was about to say, too.
Yep, he was also the one who inspired Kotetsu to become a hero. So anyway, playing Lunatic, we have Mr. Liam O'Brien. And playing Mr. Legend, we have Kyle Herbert.
Hey, Bear.
Hey, Bear. I'm sorry, I was about to get that wrong at least once. Okay.
Let's see how many more times it happens, though. We will judge you very harshly.
Okay, so Liam O'Brien hasn't been in too much recent stuff, but you know him for roles such as Kunzite in the Viz redub of Sailor Moon, Gara from the Naruto franchise, and of course, Steph would kill me if I didn't mention this, Dr. Kenzo Tenma from Monster.
You learn very quickly. Monster is my baby. If that show ever gets rescued, you know for a fucking fact I'm calling dibs on hosting a Dub Talk Classics on that thing. You know I will. That and Paranoia Agent. But they gotta be rescued first. Please rescue them. Please rescue and fully release them. I would buy all that shit. Oh my god. Please.
Okay, and Kyle Hebert is a pretty familiar face in anime at this point. And you know him for roles such as Teen Gohan from Dragon Ball Z Kai, Noriaki Kakyoin from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Stardust Crusaders, and of course Kamina from Gurren Lagann. So, getting into these two characters, I gotta say, All Might really let himself go, didn't they?
No! Okay, I was gonna keep it going for a little bit, but don't you dare compare those two! You fuck!
Andrew's having a moment where he's like, you do this the day of my daughter's wedding.
You do this the day of my daughter's wedding! You ask me for a favor, and then you shit in my cereal! Okay,
I'm sorry. That was good.
Okay, I guess.
That was the time we let the
sorry.
cat out of the bag. Because
Okay, yeah.
There's a reason why we had to pair these two together, and I didn't realize it
Yeah.
until I finished the show. Thank you, Jet.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So the reason we paired these two together is because they are, in fact, father and son.
Dun dun
And
dun.
Mr. Legend is not quite all he's cracked up to be.
To the point where he kind of dies.
basically, the actual plot critical thing is the fact that he, like a certain other character later on, eventually gradually starts losing the ability to use his powers.
Yep.
But at the frustration of that, he turns to the bottle. And when he turns to the bottle, he turns to the wifey. And
Daddy gets abusive at night. Guys.
oh boy, does he. Yeah.
So who wants to start us off with this?
So,
I have
I guess
I
you
have a
should go
quick
first.
question for Andrew,
yes.
because I'm still watching a Let's Play of Danganronpa V3. Kyle Hebert is Kaito too, right?
He's Kaito Momota, Luminary of the
I'm just
Stars,
making
yes.
sure I heard that voice correctly.
Oh,
That makes me
he's
so
just
dumb.
Kamina in that role. He's just Kamina.
He's fucking Kamina.
But that...
It's great.
Okay, so I'll go first then. Liam O'Brien is a voice we probably should talk about more often, but granted, he's been in a lot more video games and animation of late. But every time you hear Leo O'Brien, he's amazing and fantastic, and he does a really good job at being cold but badass and assertive. And man, that man was going to shoot you. And he does a great job at sounding stern, calculative, but also being kind of fair and giving the benefit of the doubt. Because remember, he's the one that defends Kotetsu because
Yeah,
he knows
he does.
Kotetsu isn't in the wrong right now. So he defends him, which was really interesting and was the most... Straight up, this character is the Punisher. But even then, I'm thinking, why do you look like a gremlin? Why do you look like an elf demon when going to work? It's like...
Now, I have to say the one thing I really appreciate about the character is that, like, they didn't even bother trying to hide who he was. Like,
They
they never tried to
straight
do a
up.
whole secret.
They knew
They never tried to do
straight
the whole
up.
secret identity thing. They tell you who he is almost right away. You see a couple of shots of him literally right next to his mask. Like, they don't even bother.
The show didn't even try. They were just like, here, have this person. Have this person who's clearly the anti-hero. Who knew?
Anyways, I hadn't said my thoughts on Mr. Legend. He doesn't get much screen time to do, but Kyle Hebert does a good job at making him sound heroic and majestic, except when he's not. And he sounds like a fucking asshole. And boy, does the fire of those sins catch up with him quickly.
Ooh, cause yeah, fun fact. You wanna know how Mr. Legend dies?
That's when...
It's
yeah.
Yuri's fault. It's Lunatic's fault. Cause that was when he activated his next abilities, I think.
That was when he first
activates
activated
them.
it, yes.
Yeah, because he wanted to defend his mom, who was getting the shit beat out of her.
Which
So
makes
he
me
jumps
think,
in.
I don't think it definitely interesting thing. Unlike the Hero Aka universe, it doesn't seem like the actual abilities are genetic. They're more like a randomized generator.
Considering
Yeah.
what Kaede's ability is compared to her dad Kotetsu, it doesn't seem genetic. But at the same time, we also don't know if the mom was a next, or if she had some sort of latent ability, considering she died.
Mm-hmm.
So it's possible it could be genetic, but we also got to remember that both Kotetsu and Barnaby have the exact same ability, so it's like, where did that come from? I don't know if it's genetic or not. It'd be that's more of an interesting, like, lore kind of situation and world building that you'd have to look into to figure out, how these powers work or how you obtain them, you know?
Alright. But yeah, no, I thought he did they both did really good jobs at their respective roles, and I really wish the show explored a little more of that dynamic between them, since I thought that was fascinating. That was really fascinating to me. But yeah, I'm done.
Okay, Lilac?
Speaking of the whole father-son dynamic, I love the fact that the show brings it up once and they never bring it up again.
I'll admit that actually did kind of bothered me the
That
first
bothered
time
me
I
a
watched
lot.
the show.
That
Upon like rewatching the show, I do kind of get what they were going for. Is it okay, like when you watch it the first time, it does kind of seem like it's supposed to be like a big plot thing. But upon like rewatch, I'm kind of like, oh, okay, this is just supposed to be like lunatic solo episode in the same way you got like solo episodes for the other heroes in the first half.
yeah,
I mean, it is a big deal, but it's supposed to be just there to explain like why lunatic is the way he is. That's basically it.
Yeah, I get that too. I understand what they were going for with that episode, more focused on Yuri/Lunatic here. But again, my issue is they never bring it up again, and it's also never really... Lunatic's story isn't really given some kind of conclusion too, which is kind of sad, because god damn it, if Liam O'Brien is not a sneaky motherfucker and an asshole, I mean, here's my thing, because I tend to have, like, I'm usually used to Liam O'Brien as probably more of the soft-spoken characters, sometimes good guys, occasionally bad guys in the case here with this anti-hero, but, I mean, again, because it's my favorite goddamn series ever, like, I'm used to him as Tenma, mostly, in Monster, and then he was also in Paranoid Agent. Yeah, he was, because he was one of the freaking cops in there. That ends up going fucking crazy. But, I really enjoyed Liam's performance here as Lunatic, because it has the right, I feel like it kind of has the right amount of, like, not really a tragic story, but more like a hidden past nobody wants to talk about. And he has enough malice to carry out his own sense of justice. And I know we kind of been making the comparison a couple times with My Hero. This case, Lunatic, in a sense, is the Stain of the universe here. Like, because in My Hero, Stain, the villain we see in that short arc in the second half of season 2, he has his own sense of justice, but in a different way. Like, his ideals are a little bit different, because he wants to have, like, righteous and true heroes that are just in it to be, like, legitimate heroes. So but whoever isn't, he goes out and kills these heroes. To be fair, their targets may be different, but the ideals are, in a way, kind of similar. And I can...
Oh man.
In a way...
No, it's just kind of funny, because now that you brought that up, I literally just realized that if you think about it,
Yeah.
Lunatic is basically like if Todoroki became Stain.
Oh god!
I was
right.
gonna bring that up.
You're right.
Oh my god, you're right. Except minus the ice powers, because maybe Todoroki decided, fuck these ice powers, I'm going straight fire. But, yeah, I really enjoy Liam's performance here, and Kyle Hebert, I forgot that was Kyle Hebert, because I forgot how crazy his range can be sometimes. Dear sweet baby Jesus. But he was also rather enjoyable, and seeing this whole... Because Mr. Legend in and of itself has his own character arc in a sense, and that story is used in comparison to, again, with another character who's going through a similar situation with their powers diminishing. And seeing that story of this fallen legend in a sense, because it's not just his powers diminishing, it's kind of a catalyst, because we find out that because his powers were diminishing, some of the other heroes that were on Hero TV would help capture the criminals, but let Mr. Legend take the credit for it. So in that case, you have some very false arrests and kind of being a little bit rigged to a sense, and that probably also it kind of is one of those things that kind of builds in and kind of stacks up and drives Mr. Legend to turn to drinking, to turn to this depression of sorts. And seeing that transition, and especially through Kotetsu's eyes, because he's originally seen as this very awesome hero, like the best, the legend and everything like that, and then seeing the fall from grace and through Lunatic or Yuri's eyes, it's a very interesting character arc in and of itself, and I think Kyle Hebert played that rather well, honestly. Both of these individuals played their roles very well, though, because Monster's my jam. I'm sorry, I love Liam O'Brien. I think he's one of my favorite voice actors, and I do wish he would come back to anime more often again, but I know he's busy with other things right now, so.
Okay, what about you, Roots?
Alright, let's see here. Lunatic. Liam O'Brien's Lunatic. Well, I mean, the character is more or less Chinese flaming Batman, so... Or, I'm sorry, not Chinese flaming Batman, Russian flaming Batman.
You're not wrong. Like, you're not
No,
wrong.
no, there's another character in this show who's Batman, but we'll get to him later.
Yeah, touche.
Fair.
But I was going for the darker than black joke there, but yeah.
Yep.
I really like it. Really like the fact that he was really Two-Faced in the show. Like, holy shit! Because you got him as basically the district attorney of Sternbill, prosecuting bad guys, and then showing up at jail after he's put them away to kill them. Like, I can't exactly agree with that philosophy, but in terms of the character, Liam O'Brien does it really well. And I gotta give props to Kyle Hebert, especially for asshole, Mr. Hero.
Mr. Legend.
Mr. Legend, I'm sorry. For asshole Mr. Legend, because, it actually kind of reminded me of a different time he got to play an asshole.
Really now?
I don't think it was a named part in the show, but he actually got to be a total dirtbag in Madoka. It was right as Sayaka was breaking mentally, and I think him talking was one of the things that ended up turning her into a witch.
It's been a while since I've seen
pretty
Madoka.
sure I know. Okay, yeah, I'm pretty sure I know the exact scene he's talking about.
Yeah.
It's been a few years since I've
Where
watched Madoka.
He just says the most horrible things about women that you could possibly imagine to come out of a human being's mouth. And it causes Sayaka to break and turn into a witch. She kills them both, but that's kind of what his performance as Mr. Legend reminded me of. It gave me chills. Especially when you take a look in like episode 3 when he's just the guy who inspired Kotetsu to become a hero, and then he's just like drunken Endeavor a couple episodes later.
Yeah, that was really sad. Okay, so getting into my thoughts a little bit. So Liam O'Brien was actually one of my original choices when I was thinking of a cast list way back when. My other choice was Crispin Freeman. So I was pretty happy with how his performance turned out. Liam O'Brien has always been really great at villain roles, and he does a great job of making Lunatic sound as creepy as possible, but like, never to the point of overselling it, and he does kind of do that whole duality contrast really well. And as far as Kyle Hebert goes, I mean, like, we've all heard him as a great Sandman at this point, so we know he can do superheroes. But I was actually pretty surprised with how subdued he played it at first. Like, I mean, like, it's heroic, but it's not, like, over the top. But then when we got to episode 16, it all made sense, because, boy, how did he do a great job of, like, portraying the violent, broken man underneath the cape. Like, that whole revelation is really something. And again, like I was mentioning before, I'll be honest in saying that the first time I watched the show, I was a little disappointed this wasn't used to like set up a confrontation between Lunatic and Kotetsu, but eventually I realized again this is kind of just like Lunatic's solo episode there to explain his character rather than being like a major plot thing. And while I still hope any future stuff plays with that more, I still really appreciate how that whole arc was handled. That was really well done. And yeah, that's basically it for me. Alright, so did anyone have any other thoughts, or ready to move on?
Nope.
I'm good. Can we talk about? Can we talk some baddies?
Yes, it's finally time to get into some.
Oh yeah, they're really good.
Yep. So it's time to get into our villains with the members of Ouroboros. We have Hans Chuckman, Cream, and the boss Jake Martinez.
Jake Martinez. Fucking hell.
Okay, so Hans Chuckman is just kind of there to be the lackey, while Cream and Jake are the two major bad guys in the first half of the show, with Jake thought to be the criminal responsible for killing Barnaby's parents, while Cream is his devoted partner in crime. Yeah, so basically these two are just the Joker and Harley Quinn of the show.
Kinda, yeah, and their main goal essentially is to create a world where basically the Nexts are the ones in charge and humans don't disrespect them. Basically, then if humans disrespected them, the Nexts would basically murder and kill them in a sense.
Yep, basically it's like if the Joker was Magneto for some reason.
Yes,
It's
that's
also,
the best way to describe it.
I also really like that we actually get to see how, like, Cream basically becomes Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
Because that was genuinely, like, I see
That was
exactly how
interesting.
that happened. Like, everybody's scared of you, thinks you're a freak, you're literally kidnapped for ransom by that guy, and nobody calls or comes to give him the money. So he's
Not
just
only that, but he actually gave a shit about her.
He literally was like, alright, I guess you're free to go. To which it's like, nobody wants me.
Well, no, before he lets her go, it's like, why are you letting people, like, tell you how you should think?
You're
Like,
better
I
than
think-
them
I-
already.
Yeah, we're better than them already. I mean, you're fine the way you are. And Cream just basically is like, he saved me, quote unquote. But anyway, who voices these three?
Okay, so playing Hans Chuckman, we have Vic Mignogna. Playing Cream, we have Stephanie Shea. And for Jake, we have the one,
The only.
Mr. Stephen Bloom.
So I know this may be a first that we've brought up Steve Bloom on the show.
This is definitely the first time we've ever brought him up.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, okay, so at this point, pretty much everyone knows who Vic Mignogna is, even if you don't listen to dubs. But some of his other roles include Ikaku Madarame from Bleach, Mendoza from Garo the Animation, and of course Edward Elric from both versions of Fullmetal Alchemist. Stephanie Shea is another familiar name in anime, and you know her for roles such as Orihime Inoue from Bleach, Hinata Hyuga from the Naruto franchise, and Usagi Tsukino, aka Sailor Moon, from the Viz redub for Sailor Moon. As for Steve Bloom,
Who is this motherfucker? I've never heard of this
Honestly,
name in my life.
I've never heard this name in my life. Who is this strange individual?
Okay, so honestly, even if you don't pay attention to dubs at all, this man has voice acting credits across so many different kinds of media that you are bound to have heard him in something somewhere.
Question.
And if not,
And
you
it's-
are just. And if you haven't, and you say you have not, you are fucking lying.
Have you ever played a video game in your life?
Have you ever watched
Hi.
Have you ever watched a cartoon in your life? If not,
Hi.
you are also fucking lying.
Doesn't he hold like the Guinness World Record for most voice
He
acting
does.
roles?
No,
Like,
at
it
least
doesn't-
in
Yeah,
video games.
he does for video games.
For,
Okay.
for video games, yes, not for anime because that's Monica Rial.
Yeah.
Okay,
Anyways.
I wasn't
Okay,
sure if it was just video games or like
It was just
everything.
video
Yeah, it was
games.
just video games.
Yeah, with just video games. But as far as anime goes, some of his most iconic roles include Orochimaru from the Naruto franchise, Mugen from Samurai Champloo, Gilmon from Digimon Tamers, and of course, Spike Spiegel from Cowboy Bebop.
Man, the myth,
So-
the legend.
So, thoughts on these three fine individuals?
Alright, these three. Okay, Vic Mignogna does a really good job at playing the grunt, skinhead Native American wannabe terrorist, which is a statement I can say. So,
Oh my god.
He does a good job
It is
at
because it's actually really true.
he does a good job at that. Stephanie Shea does a great job at being eccentric, like, cutesy crazy. And she's also, like, not completely cutesy. She's also legitimately, like, threatening and scary at times, too. Which really works wonders for this kind of character, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay, now, so yeah, I really like Stephanie a lot as Cream, and like I felt for her in her arc, but I also genuinely was like impressed at how like cutesy freaky she was, and that's something Stephanie's really good at. Now the main act, Steve Bloom. Holy
boy.
shit! I genuinely, when I saw this character, I expected another Orochimaru. It was like a mix of that as well as Mugen and Spike all at once. This was really impressive. Like, he was all at once kind of the gruff badass, but also the eccentric showboat as well. Because it's like, he's not just sort of tough manly man. He's a showman. He's a showman. He wears the flashiest things you've ever seen in your life, and not one outfit is the same as the next. He's really badass. He's really threatening. He actually had the city under hostage legitimately. Like, that was impressive, and he got to take people down one by one, and this was like the first time you really got to see the teamwork between Tiger and Bunny work was to take him down. Steve's fantastic. He adds the crazy, he adds the eccentricity, he adds the showmanship, he adds the psycho mantis type person, and he's so good. He steals the show in every time Jake Martinez is on screen. He makes this character. It's fantastic. I'm so glad I got to talk about Steve Bloom on this show. He's so good. So good. I'm gonna pee now. I'll be back.
Thank you for telling us that.
Yeah, so you want to go next?
Please continue.
God.
Please continue.
Oh Lord. I guess I may as well go next at this point. Vic Mignogna. I kind of want to. Hans Chuckman wasn't exactly a memorable character, and I'm just gonna leave it at that because I'm gonna save my thoughts on Vic for a second. Stephanie Sheh. One of my big things with voice actors sometimes is a lot of times I'm very used to them playing this one kind of role. Same can be said for Vic too in this case, but it's always a very nice treat for me when I get to hear them play something completely different. And in Stephanie's case, she, like Andrew was describing her, she's basically this eccentric baddie. And between this, and dare I bring up Mikan from Danganronpa here. Oh boy, Mikan. Jesus Christ. This is a very interesting performance because, and I really enjoyed it because Cream is one of the more memorable baddies. She's definitely one of the memorable baddies, at least for the first half and the climax of the first half of the show. And I just fell in love with every second of the performance because she was both she was eccentric, but she also was very manipulative, and it was very enjoyable to see her play those two different sides. And then because this is the first time we actually are talking about Steve Bloom. I'm surprised we haven't by now, but oh dear Lord, dear Lord. I think I at first had the problem when I saw Jake Martinez and I saw the credits and I knew it was Steve Bloom. I think when I first saw the character, it didn't click in my brain, and I had moments where I was like, I feel like this Steve's voice might be a little too old for Jake Martinez. But then he put on the showmanship. And very eccentric, maybe not flamboyant to a sense, but kind of out there. And like Andrew was saying, it was so enjoyable. I loved every second, and he was such a memorable character in that first half of the show. I was just like, oh my god. And kind of going back to Terra Plata's Agnes, a lot of the banter between Jake and Agnes was actually really well played out too. Because part of the plan was to broadcast Jake's fights with all the heroes. And Agnes was just having a ball talking to him, like planning all this stuff out, even though she knew she was in on this plan to try and take him down. And that back and forth was very interesting to see unfold too. But yeah, Steve Blum as Jake, definitely, like, at first I was hesitant on it, but the second he really got in there and got into it, I was on board fully. So I really enjoyed that, as well as these other two performances. But again, I'm going to come back to Vic in a few minutes, and there's a reason for that.
Okay, Roots?
Alright, so, because it's been, like, a New York minute since I've seen the first half of the dub, I really don't remember Vic as Hans very well.
Okay, that's fine. He's just kind of there.
Yeah, he was like
he's really
the chopper
there.
pilot, and that was it.
He also served
Yeah.
to being Origami Cyclone's disguise.
Yeah.
That was it. He was a
Yeah.
plot device, basically.
Basically.
More or less. I wish I could remember that sequence with Origami Cyclone, but I can't.
No, that was
But,
he had all the power in that, because he straight up comes to him and he's looking at a magazine of all these heroes, and he turns to a page of Origami Cyclone, and it's like, that's a really cool power. Having the ability to turn into anybody, that's a really good power. That you could
Jake
use that for
Martinez
any
does
sorts
not
of
fuck around.
espionage. It's
He
like,
does not
he
fuck
holds
around.
the fucking knife! He holds the knife in your throat! He has all the power! This dude is fun, but he's scary!
Jake Martinez does not fuck around, ladies and gentlemen.
But yeah, as for Cream, while I do really like her as sort of the manipulative, kind of witchish figure, I kind of like her a little better in the second half of the show when she wakes up from the coma.
Yep.
She's kind of giving her story to Kotetsu and Barnaby, and she's just so defeated and subdued. Like, that switch off is really hard to pull off, and I'm really impressed with Stephanie Shea for managing to do it. But let's just get to it. Jake Martinez.
Jake motherfucking Martinez.
Steve Bloom. Has he ever played the Joker before? Does anybody happen to know off the top of their head?
Yeah, okay. He has been the Joker in Lego Batman, but that was after the show.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I'm glad he got to play the Joker, because Jake Martinez is the perfect fucking Joker archetype.
He's played a lot of Batman villains, now that I think about it.
Like, in just about any medium outside of the Joker, it's really hard to do the force of nature villain.
Yeah.
Really hard to write him right. And Tiger and Bunny and Jake Martinez is one of those instances where it was really well done. I am really glad they put Steve Bloom as Jake Martinez. Like, I could think of a few other actors who might have been good as the role, but Steve Bloom made it his own. I don't think I could even go back to the subs of the first half because of that.
Yeah,
Agreed.
basically it's like he adds the right amount of, like, uniqueness probably to the role.
He's a manic, crazy man who wants to see the
was
world burn.
Great.
Also with a little
He
bit of
just wants
racism.
to set the
but-
world on fire.
Actually, yeah, I was gonna say racism, but now that I think about it, you're right. He does want a Magneto-Genosha scenario.
Yep.
Yes, he does.
Wait a minute. God, Jake Martinez is like the reverse Amon from
Oh,
Korra.
but-
The
Oh,
reverse.
wow.
Boy.
Oh, yeah, I totally see that.
They both explode,
Which, by the way, both are played by Steve Bloom. So
and they
there you
both
go.
explode.
That's going way over my head.
That's,
Legend
okay,
of Korra, like-
yeah, like Legend of Korra season 1.
Okay, now I know.
Like
I've
the
seen
masked
season 1.
dude, the
I
know
know what
leader.
you're talking about now. I was like, wait, I don't know what
To
you're
this
talking
day,
about.
I
I've seen the
still
first
feel
season.
immense joy of all the theories speculating who Amon was, and I'm like, what if it's just some guy? And it was just
And it
some
was
guy!
some guy!
And that's my favorite turnout of that whole situation, aside from the
It was
SpongeBob meme.
It was just some fucker.
Anyways, Jet, let's hear your final thoughts.
Okay, so like you guys have already said, Vic was pretty much just here to be expendable, and the poor guy was pretty much doomed for the second he met his boss. But it was sort of interesting seeing Vic be a grunt for a change, and the brief time we spent with him was pretty fine. So I have to say, I was very surprised when I saw that Stephanie Sheh was Creed, because this was back when everyone pretty much just associated her with roles like Hinata or Orihime. But she did a really good job of playing like the soul-free kind of cold villain. And if I had to have like one little nitpick here, well, it's not really a nitpick so much as something I would have kind of liked to see is that they didn't have her do like a little bit of a Jersey accent, because like the character is truly supposed to be Harley Quinn, so I feel like if they just threw that in there just for the heck of it, that would have been really funny. Okay, but either way, I thought she did great. And as for Steve Bloom, I mean, honestly, it's really kind of hard to come up with a serious critique of the man, because he's just really good at everything he does. Like, Steve Bloom's brought a lot of life to personalities we all know and love, villains included. So it's no surprise that his work here was pretty much fantastic. Like you guys already said, he really sold Jake's crazy personality, and I really dug how effectively he was able to go from like pure ham to being downright terrified without ever sniffing a beat. And you can really tell he was having a ton of fun with that performance. Like Stephanie Sheh, I'd be lying if I said I wish he didn't go like a little bit more jokery, because again, it's a pretty obvious spoof. But like most things he does, Stephen Bloom really made the character his own, and it's easily one of my favorite performances from this entire dub. Okay, so any other thoughts on these three, or are we ready to move on?
Well,
More villains.
let's put it like this. Jake, he took my heart, and then he exploded.
Let's get to some spoiler. More villains.
Yeah.
And
Spoiler. Spoiler.
Yep, okay, yep. So, continuing down our villain list, and yes, we're going into extreme spoiler territory.
Massive
here.
It's
Spoiler
time for
territory.
the realest villain of the entire series, the capitalistic
Fuck this man.
billionaire.
Fuck this man.
Yep, so we have the two main villains of the show's second half, Dr. Rotvog and Albert Maverick.
Fuck this man.
I
hate this son of a bitch.
Okay, so Dr. Rotvog is a scientist who worked with Barnaby's parents in robotics, but became obsessed with creating robots that could defeat them.
And he's a racist.
Yes, he is.
Because the theme of the day is racism and capitalism, everybody.
The two most
Okay,
prevalent things that still exist. Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba. Topical.
Yep.
Let's
Okay,
not get into topical things like that right now.
Okay, so Mr. Maverick, on the other hand, is one of the founders of Hero TV, and celebrated as an ally of heroes. Well, big spoilers in 3, 2, 1.
He killed Barnaby's
In
parents.
Yes, he has ties to the crime syndicate Ouroboros, and yes, he is the one who is actually responsible for the death of Barnaby's
He also
parents.
has like
parent killers.
he also has like the single scariest power in this entire show.
Yeah.
Yes,
Because
yes, he does.
how he managed to get away with it is with Barnaby is he has the power to manipulate memories. So when he killed Barnaby's parents, he manipulated Barnaby's memory, and so that way he couldn't really remember. And because that's one of the big storylines about the show is Barnaby trying to find out who killed his parents and avenge their deaths. It's in Barnaby's case, and when we kind of get to him, this is probably going to be more of a bigger discussion. It's very interesting to see Barnaby work on trying to regain his memories that Maverick just downright altered. It's very interesting.
It's kind of funny. It's kind of funny you bring that up because it's kind of funny you bring that up because something you really kind of have to wonder upon like rewatching the show is, do you think this is the first time Barnaby's ever found out? Because you got to think about it. He's been looking for his parents' killer for like 20 years.
Oh God!
Now. This cannot possibly be the first.
That's
time
a good point.
he found out.
And you would never know. You would never know. He would never know. Isn't that fucked?
I feel like, though, it might have been the first time he discovered, only because he probably wasn't allowed or given the resources before he became an official hero.
Okay, there.
Because I feel like it might be one of those things like when you become a hero, you get access to a lot more resources to investigate things like this, and Barnaby probably before that didn't have as much access. He was trying to do things like on the down low and try to figure it out, which of course led him into going with extremely wrong leads, like going off of that. So I feel like once he became an official hero, and because probably the factors I would say is him becoming a hero, him getting access to more resources, and probably because of Kotetsu's assistance, it's probably why he ended up finding everything out.
So, there's an important question at play. Who are the men voicing these very evil men?
Ooh.
Yes, okay, so playing Dr. Vog, we have Vic Mignogna again, as he pulls double duty on this show.
Fucking double duty, Studiopolis, what is wrong with you?
I don't actually
This is the one I was mad about.
I don't even think it's that big a deal, but it is funny that he's...
Honestly, I'm not as mad about it as I would be with, like, say, Kurt Thornton, because Vic does play these two very differently.
I mean, that's fair, but it's still recognized. I'll get to it in a minute. Just keep going.
Sorry. Like, it's recognizable, but I think he plays them differently enough that it works.
I'll rant in a minute here. Just keep going.
Okay, but anyway, Mr. Maverick is played by Jameson Price.
Because of course it is.
Yep, Jameson Price has a pretty long history with anime, and you know for roles such as the Skull Knight from Berserk, Metal Knight from One Punch Man, and of course Ryder from Fate Zero.
He's also best dad, best bro Sojiro Sakura from Persona 5.
No.
Yes.
I would say the best role he's had. The motherfucking Count of Monte Cristo.
Wait. No, he's Ryder. He's Ryder. He's goddamn...
Yeah.
He's Ryder.
I don't care.
Yeah, Jet mentioned that.
All right.
He mentioned that.
I literally just mentioned that.
But
I was too busy thinking about how Sojiro's the best. Forgive me.
Pay the fuck attention, but it doesn't matter because the Count of Monte Cristo, motherfuckers.
Okay.
Let's go.
Okay.
I kind of have
alright,
to disagree, and I'm gonna have to go with Andrew on the King of fucking Conquerors.
No.
Is
Fuck
Kandar.
you.
Can we
Fuck
just
you.
agree that this man has the sexiest fucking voice in the world and just leave it
Yes.
at that? Because
We can agree with
goddamn,
that.
goddamn.
Jonas is calling.
Yep, which makes it all the words that he plays like the creepy man who alters people's memories.
Oh,
God.
boy.
It gets even worse when you consider like the way in which, like how the shot sprayed when you found out.
He also has like the most old.
Yeah.
He's also given the most unsuspecting old man face in the world, cause he's got so many wrinkles, complete gray hair, and like I don't even think it's a pimple. It's like what is that? A growth?
Yeah,
It's like an
probably
old
a
skin.
boil.
It's like an old skin growth where it's like you can't really pop it. It's old man face and it looks gross.
Old
liver
man
spot.
face?
Liver spot. That's what they call them.
What?
Liver spots.
Liver spot. He has a liver spot. But
Old man face.
you would never think somebody with such a sexy voice and such a gross old person face would be such an evil piece of shit. Or actually, maybe you would. I don't know. Anyways, Jameson
It
Price.
was one of those weird situations where he just looked so inconspicuous. It was suspicious to me.
Yeah, you're
when I
right.
first watched this show.
You're kind of right.
No.
But yeah.
Here's the thing. The man was not inconspicuous to me. You want to know why?
Why?
Because before we recorded this and while I was going through the show, I had asked Jet, like, what characters are going to be covering, and he purposefully omitted 2 people from this. I knew instantly Maverick was one of them. Because I'm like, he's in the show for the majority of the time. Clearly he's going to have some sort of involvement at the end of the show. Like, of course, I'm like, the more the show kept going, I'm like, it's going to be Maverick, isn't it? Maverick is the big baddie, isn't it? And then it happened, and I'm like, fuck this man. He can die in a fire.
But he
Alright,
does.
so
He does.
He does.
okay,
His
so
ass after he does comatose. Turns himself into a fucking vegetable.
It's like, I
Ah.
know I shouldn't be celebrating that, but it's the reason why people like The Punisher.
It's so satisfying because that man can just die, and he did. thank you, Sir Liam O'Brien, for doing what all of us wanted to do,
But
especially
we are
me.
incurring vigilantism, which is definitely a thing to found
No,
on.
we're not.
Anyways, Jameson Pierce, he's so good at being this supportive, like, kind-hearted leader and, like, father figure to Barnaby, which does make it all the more heart-wrenching when he does turn and show his true colors. And he is so diabolical once he gets in the evil man chair that he fits both parts, because he can simultaneously be, like, your best friend and the guy who is so good for the camera, and also just the creepiest, really creepy person, and it's so good. He's one of the best in the show, in my opinion. Vic Mignogna does a good job at being the creepy robo-racist who needs to blow his fucking nose. Like, good God! Rudolph's looking at that and being like, damn, son, get a tissue or something. Fuck.
Damn, son, go blow your nose!
I don't feel bad for insulting his aesthetic appearances, since he is, in fact, a racist piece of shit.
Yes, he is a racist piece of
And
shit.
Vic Mignogna does a good job at playing evil, creepy pieces of shit.
Okay, so Steph.
So, this is the reason why I wanted to save my thoughts on Vic Mignogna, because, again, Studiopolis, why? Why? I'm not a fan of this double duty bullshit. But here's the thing. Both Rotwang and Hans Chuckman, Vic played them both with enough distinction that you can tell they're two separate characters, but it's still Vic Mignogna voicing these characters. So that kind of took me out of it a bit. However, Rotwang was probably the more memorable between the two, so I really enjoyed his performance of Rotwang compared to Hans Chuckman. And the reason, again, like I was saying when it came to like Stephanie Sheh or some other voice actors, I enjoy when they get to play outside of their archetype. And Vic Mignogna, for the longest ass time, usually plays these goody two shoes hero type of roles. And I want to say maybe this is potentially kind of a start for him playing more villain type roles. And I said maybe.
He's played a lot.
No, Claymore. Holy shit, Claymore.
He's amazing.
Okay, like, he's played a lot, but this was probably, like, starting the trend of him doing that more regularly.
And I find that, given the progression of Vic's career in general, him playing more villain roles is amazing. Because when you were talking about him before, and you brought up the credits like Mendoza from Garo especially, I still haven't finished the entire dub of Garo, but like the first few episodes that I had watched originally a couple years back, I'm like, this is perfect. I love this. Please have him play more villains. And to see him basically play a crazy racist asshole in a sense is phenomenal to me. And then we have Jameson Price, which this isn't the first time where Jameson has played a non-suspecting baddie of sorts. Because call him a non-suspecting baddie, call him an anti-hero. He did the same thing in Gunkotsuo, where the Count, if you're not familiar with the story, you see the Count as this very supportive and nice aristocrat towards Albert, and then you start learning more about his past, and then he becomes this, about his revenge, and he becomes this villain, and I think that's more of the epitome of Jameson's vocal work and his career, in a sense. Not this. It is still enjoyable, but I've seen him play it a lot better. I've seen him play a similar character, but it's much more well done than this. I still enjoy the performance for what it is, and it's definitely one of the stronger performances, but I have seen him do something similar, and I have seen him do it better. That's my only takeaway from it. But that doesn't mean this guy still doesn't deserve to die in a fucking fire, which he does, thank sweet baby Jesus. Because, again, it's one of those things, and because we recorded Ghostic a few days ago, actually, it's one of those things where the performance was very well done to the point where I wanted to see this motherfucker burn. And Jameson is a phenomenal actor, and he can pull off some amazing performances. And I know the big difference between the Count from Gonkotsuo and Maverick here. The Count has more of a tragic story. Maverick is just a dirty, conniving asshole. That's the difference. That's the main difference between these two characters, despite the performances being fairly similar in that regard. So, kudos to Jameson Price for being that sneaky bastard that I want to punch into the sun. Thank you for that. It was very believable. Very, very believable. But yeah, I did enjoy both these performances, but especially in Vic's case, since he did pull double duty in both halves of the show, I think Rotwang was much more memorable compared to Hans Chuckman.
Okay. So what about you, Roots?
Okay, so, yeah, Rotwang was sort of the more memorable of the two Vic roles. Especially, namely, because I literally just watched the last couple episodes of Tiger and Bunny a few hours ago. He is basically your racist uncle at the Thanksgiving table trying to make robots.
I love that analogy.
And he's like a Bond villain, too. Kind of on the side.
That is amazing.
Man,
that comparison.
don't you hate all the Mexicans stealing our jobs? What if we made robots to do those jobs instead?
They took our jobs. They took our jobs. Sorry.
What?
Yeah,
Like,
that out.
okay, in my defense, that seems like you're playing the. Oh, whatever. Who cares?
No, I was.
Never mind.
Okay, hold on.
Just-
Let me get back in the zone. I'll say my joke.
Please.
Cracks open a beer at the Thanksgiving table. Hey, Timmy. You hear about them next? Them superhero bastards taking our jobs.
My God. That is basically.
Glug, glug, burp.
That is Lot Wong's character in a nutshell.
I can make robots.
Uncle Ricky, please, please
I
get off
can
the
make
table.
robots that
Uncle
can
Ricky,
do the
please.
superhero job.
Please get off the table. You're not even wearing pants anymore. What are you doing to that
I do what I want.
Please get off of the turkey, Uncle Ricky.
Don't tell me how to live my life, you son
I'm
of a
drunk
bitch.
as shit and I'll do what I want.
Uncle Ricky, please.
Out.
Please.
I went to school for robotics, bitch.
Okay, I'm done.
That's
my
great.
joke. But, yeah, I really like the sort of, kind of like the archetypal movie villain, kind of not quite German accent he gives to, Rotwang. That voice that you know in the back of your mind is just conniving and I also kind of like the fact that he gets a chump death.
Oh yeah, he's
At
like,
the very
save me! It's like, oh yeah, bye. I'm a next
By the way,
piece
I'm
of
a
shit.
fucking next kid. Kicks him off the
Kick.
It was pretty satisfying.
Can I also say, because when we were talking about Liam O'Brien as Lunatic, they didn't bother hiding the fact that Rotwang was a fucking villain.
Oh no.
They denied that shit.
Okay, they did not. They just hid how relevant he was.
Yes.
Like, it seemed like, okay, maybe he'll just stick around for one episode and that's it. Nope, he comes back.
Nah, he came back again. They don't hide that shit.
And Jameson Price.
Ooh.
Like, from the beginning of watching the Japanese, I knew the character was going to be a snake. I knew it. Just because he was so inconspicuous. Inconspicuous billionaires are always the villain. Like, that is the rule in entertainment. The more low-key a billionaire character is, the more evil they secretly are in the background. But, back to the English version and Jameson Price, it felt like he didn't care, and that was really awesome. Like, he could not give two shits about... Like, I don't want this to sound like an insult, but it seemed like he couldn't give two shits if he was able to make this character seem inconspicuous or not. Like, he is intimidating as hell the entire show. And then when the big reveal comes, oh yeah, Barnaby, I killed your parents. Fuck you.
It's just a casual thing.
Well, at that point,
drops.
he knows, like, oh, well, might as well just say it to get off my mind. You're not gonna remember it.
So I'm sorry, I'm about to change your memories.
I really love how
fuck you.
No,
I really love how subtle the tea scene is.
Yeah, he's just so nonchalant about half the shit he does.
Oh, can we talk about the fact that we spent that entire scene trying to kill Kotetsu, and
great.
everything came up, everything went wrong. It's like, oops, I dropped my thing. Whoops, it's in the couch. Oh, I gotta take this call. Boy, look at that plane. Oh, look, it's a picture of me. Oh, look, squirrel.
Wait, what's that laser doing there?
What's that laser doing there? Why is that laser on my forehead?
Before.
That wasn't on my head before. What is that laser, man?
It's like you see him just grab a gun off of his wall or something and be like, boy, look at me, I'm a cool cowboy bye. Let's see if this works. Boy, this looks good next to my face. I wonder how it tastes. And he's just sort of sweating the whole time.
Oh my god. like, Maverick is so...
That entire sequence, like, Kotetsu was like a turkey. Because, like, the fun thing about turkeys is you gotta keep them out of the rain, or they'll look up and keep their mouth open and they'll drown.
Yeah. And I love how, during the whole bit with Barnaby, when he's telling him, like, yeah, I did kill your parents, he's so nonchalant about it. It's like, yeah, so this happened and this happened, no biggie. And Barnaby's just sitting there, like, crying tears, like, no!
I'll say this on Maverick's behalf. I understand the logic of how he went down this path. I understand it's like, genuinely, people didn't like necks, and there was no extravagant crimes to really make them look cool. Yeah. So he basically, the idea of staging it by turning to illicit shit to make it that more exciting and... I get how it happened, but somewhere along the way, he turned the lie, and, like, as soon as, like, he wasn't into coming clean ever, that's when it's like, you've gone too far, you need to be stopped.
Yeah.
And the great thing about that is, he's not even, like, the highest up in the Ouroboros food chain.
We don't know who the highest is in the Ouroboros food chain.
Because reasons that we'll talk about.
Yes, reasons. Okay.
Like, he's just oh, yeah, by the way, I'm not even the boss of Ouroboros. Fuck you, memory wipe.
Yeah, memory wipe turns into a vegetable, a mindless zombie, and then dies.
And then he becomes a microwave potato.
He becomes a microwave potato! Thank you, lunatic!
Okay, so I guess I'll go.
Yes, please.
Alright. Okay, so you know what both of Vic's characters in this show have in common?
What?
Both be dead. And both died the exact same way, getting backstabbed by their bosses.
That is very true. I forgot about that. Also falling. Yes. Both very true facts.
So basically Vic just really couldn't catch a break this time.
No. You almost feel bad for him because he didn't catch a break at either of those characters. It's kind of hilarious.
Yeah, okay, so bad jokes aside, this was one of the first times I've ever really heard Vic Mignogna in, like, a major villain role, like, aside from your Broly's and whatnot. So while it's not exactly, like, a super standout, I really appreciate, like, the level of slime he got off here, and I was glad he was able to differentiate it enough from how he played Chuckman to make both roles distinct. Okay, and as far as Maverick goes, boy howdy, this guy's a slime ball. And it's really interesting getting up to that whole revelation because, like you guys said, you can kind of suspect something's up with him, and you can really sort of suspect something's up with him, like, during the whole, like, climax of the first half of the show when he's, like, taking charge over Mayor Obama. Yes, like, the mayor of this city looks like Obama for some weird reason.
Cause anime.
But, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, but again, it doesn't really fully click until that whole teacup scene, and then he goes full on villainy. And then it gets even worse, and he pretty much admits he doesn't even have to go this far out of his way to go over Kotetsu, but he just does. I am assuming he did that just purely because of the whole ruined teacup thing. He was like, screw it.
Maybe, hold on. Maybe the tea wasn't even poisoned. He was just so proud of how good his tea is that he's just like, you fucking left without drinking my tea? I'm going to destroy your fucking life.
Oh my god. If that's the reason, that's the stupidest fucking motivation ever.
Or is it the best
For
motivation?
a
Think about that.
billionaire,
No,
for a
it's
slighted
dumb.
billionaire,
Andrew,
that's
it's
a
dumb.
really good excuse.
No, that's dumb. That's very stupid. Let's face it, it's a fucking stupid motivation.
He probably got that tea all the way from Nepal. Come on, take a cup.
That's a petty reason, though. That's stupid and petty.
I heard
Yeah,
Dylan.
No,
but
you
Dylan-
I know
cultured
characters who.
swine.
Okay.
No, you didn't drink my tea, so I'm gonna turn everyone against you and frame you for a fucking murder. That's how. That's you don't drink my tea, bitch. This is what happens. That's the most pettiest shit I've ever seen.
But,
Coming from
okay,
Nepal,
well,
you uncultured swine.
okay, well, if you think about that, it would make this more of a superhero show, so honestly.
But yeah, no, he's really good.
Oh boy.
Okay, but anyway, like you guys said, I spent pretty much this entire arc waiting for him to get some serious comeuppance. But at the same time, though, like Bruce was kind of saying, like, for all the horrible things he does here, his actions are largely responsible for why heroes and X are so well respected.
Yeah.
So I do kind of like that angle. So it sort of makes it like, okay, like it doesn't excuse anyone he does, but he does sort of make him a little bit more understandable. And it really kind of demonstrates like how much corruption is kind of going on behind the scenes, and it does sort of make like the whole corporate angle of the show more interesting. So anyway, Jameson Price does a really fantastic job of shifting from the kindly old grandpa routine to full-on scumbag, and he did a really great job of making me hate this guy. And there really isn't a higher form of flattery you can give when it comes to villain roles. So thank you, Jameson Price.
If you want to kill a son of a bitch, you done good.
Alright, so are you finally ready to go to our heroes?
Let's go to our heroes gallery.
About time.
We get to talk about the best hero of the show. I'm so happy.
I want to
yes,
know what
so-
your best is. I think we might be on the same page.
Okay, so now it's time to dive into our main cast of heroes. So we'll start off with the male half of the lineup. We have Antonio Lopez, aka Rock Bison, Ivan. God, I'm probably gonna butcher the last name, so I'm not gonna try. Ivan, aka Origami Cyclone, and Keith Goodman, aka Sky.
Sky High is the best!
Fuck you.
Okay, so Rock Bison and Origami Cyclone are among the lower ranked heroes. Both kind of have trouble taking the spotlight. Sky High, on the other hand, is one of the king of heroes, and begins the series as the highest rank and most well respected of all the heroes. Okay, so playing these fine gentlemen, we have, as Rock Bison, Travis Willingham.
Which is, I think, the first time we actually get to talk about Travis Willingham, which is awesome.
Yes, playing Origami Cyclone, we have Mr. Michael St. Nicholas. And playing Sky High, we have the illustrious Patrick Sice. Okay, so as far as Travis Willingham goes, he hasn't been in anime in a good while. But you know him for roles such as Roy Mustang from Fullmetal Alchemist, Free from Soul Eater, and Portugal's the Ace from One Piece. Michael St. Nicholas, on the other hand, is known more for his directing credits, but some of his roles include Saratobi Sasuke from Sengoku Basara, Taki Tachibana from Your Name, and Moritaka Mashiro from Bakuman. And Patrick Sites is, of course, a very familiar face in anime roles, and some of his work includes Wolfgang Grimmer from Monster,
Yes.
Ubogen from Hunter x Hunter, and Endeavor from My Hero Academia. So, I gotta ask, How long do you think Sky High was sitting at that water fountain?
Oh, you're just open to that!
Bastard.
You son of a bitch!
No! That is not okay! That is not okay!
I had to bring it up at some point.
I know you did! Oh! Sky High!
It's like Seymour the dog!
Sky High, unironically, is the best boy. He's the best boy. He is such a good boy. Look at the size of his pupper. Nobody with a pupper that big can be bad. Nobody.
Oh god.
That's a woofer right there.
That is a woofer. It's such a good little woofer. Man, that I would say. Oh god, terrible joke incoming.
Oh no.
I would
Go ahead.
say the woofer is a chick magnet, but I think it might have taken the magnet part a little too literally.
Oh.
I made myself sad with that one. Okay.
You dug your own grave, Andrew.
Okay, so you want to go first, Andrew?
Yes, I want to go first. Patrick Seitz is always fantastic every time I get the chance to hear him, but this is the one where he's basically just a giant warm cinnamon roll, and it's great. And he's just basically this huge dork. He's really good at what he does, but even like off the clock, like everybody's pretty casual and laid back. He's the one that's the most like awkward of all of them when it comes to regular conversation. He's just this kind of huge goof, and I really appreciate that. And like he's so genuinely like distraught. Like he doesn't even hate. He doesn't even hate Barnaby because he lost his role. He's just sad that he thinks he's failing the people and he's failing himself. And that genuinely is like, you feel that. And the fact that, like, that whole episode where he fights the robot and wins, and he wants to brag and, like, you helped me get my groove back, and she never shows up, and it's like, oh, that hurts me so. Rock Bison, okay, anyways, to sum up, Patrick Seitz, he's so good, he's so amazing, I love him so. Travis Willingham's really good at being Rock Bison. He's basically like before Kotetsu really gets to be big again. He's basically like his actual buddy that's trying to help him out. And he's his drinking buddy. He does a really good job being the casual, laid-back, gruff boy. And he does a really good job at it. He actually does get a couple of cool moments. But the fact that he's basically the big tough guy gets him in some awkward situations sometimes, which is kind of funny, but he's surprisingly competent when push comes to shove, even though he sort of becomes a butt monkey later on. All in all, I do still really like Travis Willingham. We don't get to talk about him enough, but he's been busy doing other things. Speaking of Punisher, he was in that trailer where he got fucking killed by the Punisher. Anyways, who else? Oh yeah, Origami Cyclone. Origami Cyclone's really interesting. He's the opposite of Sky High, where basically Sky High is a goof off the clock and is heroic on the clock. Origami is kind of emo off the clock, but a huge goof on the clock, basically trying to shove himself in because he doesn't know what to do. But he's got a really good power, but it's not quite as show-offy as any of the others. That's why his arc's really interesting. And man, that is the most unfortunate situation that could have happened to his friend. Because straight up, he wanted to step in, he couldn't control the situation, and the gun went off and killed the civilian. That's rough. And I genuinely feel bad for that kid, even though he got very evil, I'm gonna take my revenge. But that still sucks. All in all, Origami, though, he's a really good kid. Michael Cinder Nicholas, he does a really good job at playing the awkward Dean Venture, but he's really good at it, and he's an interesting character, and I had a lot of respect for him during the Jake Martinez thing, where he did straight-up dangerous espionage. That was really cool. I think Michael Cinder Nicholas does a good job being very young, awkward-sounding, but being heroic and goofy when he wants to, and I was very impressed with all three. And I'm done.
Okay, Lilac?
What I kind of find interesting, like looking through these characters again really quick, is in terms of, I think it's probably Rock Bison and maybe Fire Emblem. Out of all of the major heroes we see throughout the show, they all have some sort of episode where there's a good amount of development for their character. Fire Emblem, which we'll talk about in a few minutes, and Rock Bison especially, they don't really have anything.
Fire Emblem gets one of the movies.
It's the second movie he gets.
Okay.
Okay, I didn't know that either.
I didn't know that, but in terms of the show, I'm just saying, like, we don't really have any kind of character arc or development for Rock Bison and Fire Emblem. So for Travis, in his case at Rock Bison, I enjoyed it because he was a tough, like, good drinking buddy kind of pal. The characters themselves, I just wish had more development to them, and especially seeing his struggle to try and make it back to the top as well. But, like, comparing him to Patrick as Sky High, like Andrew was saying, he's basically a precious cinnamon roll. And seeing his little short development going from being the number one hero down to, like, maybe, like, one or two spots down, and potentially seeing problems with his career, but mostly in the vein of, I'm not a good enough hero for these civilians anymore. Like, what can I do to fix that? And his little story for that episode was rather adorable. But I'm here to talk about the best fucking hero in the show. It's not Sky High, fuck you, fight me. It's Origami Cyclone, because the motherfucker is literally sponsored by anime.
Okay, you know what? Origami Cyclone's a fair choice, too.
Yes, but but not just that, though. I find Origami Cyclone's story probably one of the more interesting ones to me throughout the show, and among the main the main heroes that we see, because he goes through this struggle of, my power isn't actually that useful in situations like this. Like, I don't understand why I should have been a hero. And like Andrew was bringing up, the story of the confrontation that him and his friend ran into when they were still in school, and they legally weren't allowed to do anything because they're not licensed heroes. And the struggle that Michael Sinter-Nicholas had to go through, when facing, like, that dilemma, and him choosing not to intervene compared to his friend, and then his friend essentially getting arrested for this murder, and going through that whole ordeal, it was very interesting character arc for Origami Cyclone's character, and I enjoyed it very, very much when Michael got to play that. But yeah, overall, like, all three of them are very solid performances. I wish we could talk more about Travis Willingham more often, but the man, of course, is not really involved in anime anymore, similar to another voice actor who we'll get to in probably a minute.
He's busy, though. He's still voice acting and doing a lot of things.
He's still voice acting in general, but not in anime.
That's true.
Which is very depressing to me. But all three played these roles very, very well. It's just out of the three of them, even though they were very solid, I think Michael Sinter-Nicholas is probably my favorite, because he was very, very adorable as Origami Cyclone, and the man is literally sponsored by anime. Who wouldn't want that as your favorite hero? Come on now.
Okay, I'm actually with Lilac on Origami Cyclone being best boy.
Yeah, buddy.
Like, he's just the lovable Russian weeaboo, and it's great.
I didn't even think of that.
And
You're right.
I also like his character art so much, because he's trying to learn how to use his powers in a situation where, you know, you gotta be flashy, you gotta be on the spot, you gotta, you know, big powers launching at people to arrest them, or save hostages, or people in disasters, and his power is not really designed for that, but it's useful. And him coming to grips with that fact, it's pretty relatable.
Yeah, his story is probably one of the more relatable ones out of all these characters.
And not to mention, you know, when Origami Cyclone's infiltrating the little Ouroboros hideout with Jake Martinez, we kind of discussed a scene a little earlier where he's just like, you know, this, where Jake Martinez is pointing to the magazine with Origami Cyclone, he's like, you see this guy? I'd be afraid of this guy. And it's just that you can kind of feel like, oh shit, have I been pinched? Like, you can just hear Michael Sinterniklaas kind of panicking internally.
Yeah.
Even though I guess it would be Vic externally, but
Right.
didn't he have like an interior monologue where he was
Vic,
kind of panicking?
Vic, Mike does a good job being Vic.
I think I don't like. I think during that spiel with Jake Martinez, he didn't say anything, but then when he was done, he accidentally slipped up, and it was Michael who came through, not Vic.
You're right.
Okay.
Yeah, you're right. He did.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you kind of knew after, you know, the revelation of Jake Martinez having a second next ability of, you know, telepathy.
Yeah. That
Laser beams and
basically
telepathy is a
screwed.
good combination of powers to fuck people over with.
Yeah.
Actually, no, it wasn't even laser beams. It was like barriers that he could turn
Yeah,
into.
You're
was
right.
like
You're
barrier
right.
kind
You're
of thing,
right.
yeah.
It's like you're right. It was barriers.
But
Yeah.
I also really like Travis Willingham's. Again, kind of relatable. He's at the bottom of the tier list. He's trying to work his way back up. He's drinking buddies with another guy on the bottom of the tier list,
Right.
who is also trying to raise himself up. And, God, Patrick Seitz is sky high. Like, what can I say? What a lovable little cinnamon roll that one is.
Thanks a lot, and thanks again. That's what you say.
Ugh.
Yes.
Yeah.
And him
Facts.
waiting at the water fountain, like Seymour the dog in Futurama. Ugh.
Yeah.
Breaks your heart.
Oh.
Oh
He
no.
just kept
Yeah,
waiting there.
I really appreciate that they didn't even show it having that word. They just end this. They just. End
That's
the
how
episode
you do
right
it.
there.
Yeah.
That's how
That's
you
how
do
you do
it.
it. That is how you do it. That's perfect.
Yeah, that was
But
just
yeah,
perfect.
all three of the guys were just great. 13 out of 10 would watch again.
Origami Cyclone
Yeah.
best hero.
No, 13 out of 10 would explore backstory further. Oh wait, but we'll get to that.
All right.
Oh,
Yeah,
wait.
okay, we'll get to that. Okay, so this was one of Travis Willingham's first major Cali roles, all besides some Naruto stuff. So it was pretty nice to see him here. And while it's pretty unfortunate he got the short end of the stick here because poor Rock Bison just can't really catch a break.
Nope.
He ends up dead last in the hero rankings, he gets the least amount of screen time, and poor guy doesn't even get his own episode. Well, technically Fire Emblem doesn't either, but he does get his backstory in the second movie, so there's that. Okay, but anyway, Travis Willingham did a really good job of playing the Butt Monkey here. And for what it was given, he did a lot to make Rock Bison feel really likable and relatable. Just please give the guy his own episode of the future Sunrise, like, seriously.
Oh wait.
Oh wait.
We'll get to that.
We'll get to that. We're building up to it.
Yeah,
wait.
we are.
Okay. I liked Origami Cyclone a lot too, and I thought his episode was one of the best parts of the show's first half. His whole conflict over whether or not he was cut out for hero work was pretty good. And I really like how that played into the Jake stuff later on. And then, as far as Sky High goes, he's a precious cinnamon roll, and I won't hear anyone say otherwise.
Damn right.
Fuck
Yep.
you.
No, it's pretty nice too, because they could have easily pulled what they did with Mr. Legend and made him into a jerk beneath the mask. But no, instead he's just a really lovable goofball who takes pride in what he does. And I really love that whole bit in the second half where he's worried over whether or not he can really live up to people's expectations.
Yeah, that
And
is
it's a lot-
a very interesting story.
Like, he's
Yeah.
a lovable goof with the mask on, and he's an
Yep.
even more lovable goof with the mask off.
Yep.
Yeah, like, in a lot of ways, he almost feels like a prototype for All Might. And the way Patrick Seitz plays both sides of him is part of why I had actually originally wanted Patrick Seitz for All Might.
Oh yeah.
But anyway, But anyway, I was very happy with all three of you gentlemen here, and given how high my expectations were for this dub, that really says a lot.
I mean, honestly,
So good on them.
I might not be surprised if the original mangaka for My Hero maybe got some inspiration from Sky High here.
Maybe, like, timing would have been...
He was definitely... the series came out in, like, 2014, so this had probably been... Like, he was already a big superhero otaku already, so it was probably a show he really liked. You never know.
Probably, so it's very possible.
But it's very clear. Anyways, I like all three of them, but I think, all in all, I think we've indulged a little bit too much in the masculine girth and strength. I think we need something.
Let's talk about them ladies.
Let's talk about
Quick
the
nudge, them
the
ladies.
the femme fatales, if you will.
Them ladies.
It's finally time to get to some girl power farm lady heroes.
Yeah.
We have Paolin Huang, aka Dragon Kid, Nathan Seymour, aka Fire Emblem, and Karina Lyle, aka Blue Rose.
I'm sorry,
Boy,
I
howdy,
realized this.
Boy,
when I
howdy,
pulled
is
the
it really
list up.
hard? It really is hard not to say, like,
Selena Kyle?
yeah, Selena Kyle
Fucking
instead.
Catwoman?
I keep thinking that.
Because that comparison is not obvious. Not in the least.
Okay, so Dragon Kid is a young hero who's a bit of a tomboy, while Fire Emblem is a hero who runs a successful company and is kind of the big sister of the group.
He's
And
kind of
Blue Rose,
flamboyant. It's great.
yes, very flamboyant. Blue Rose, on the other hand, is considered the idol of the hero world, but actually aspires to be a singer instead, and struggles with working in the hero biz. So playing Dragon Kid, we have Miss Laura Bailey.
Woo!
Playing Fire Emblem, we have John Eric Bentley, and for Blue Rose, we have Kenny Walgren again.
Kari.
Kari
like
Walgren.
Ferrari. Get it right.
Get it right. Now, what have
I got you, Kari. I got you, Kari.
What have these actors
Yes.
and actresses played, Jet?
Ooh, boy.
Okay, so Laura Bailey is pretty well known in anime at this point, even though she hasn't been heard in a while. And you know her for roles such as Kid Trunks in Dragon Ball Z, Maka Albar from Soul Eater, and Emily from Glitter Force. I'm sorry, I had to plug that at least
Okay.
once.
Didn't you do that
Okay,
earlier?
yes, yes I did, and I won't stop because it's
God
hilarious.
damn it. Stop it.
Okay, as for John Eric Bentley, this show was actually his very first anime role.
Okay.
But he has since gone on to do other roles such as Nick Fury in Marvel Discourse, say we never got that dub here, and also in Avengers, Black Widow, and Punisher,
Okay.
as well as Tiger's Eye in the Viz redub of Sailor Moon.
So he's done a lot of other
Oh.
superhero stuff. Wait, who?
Okay.
Tiger's
Okay,
Eye?
so
Yeah.
that's who they got to play Tiger Eye.
He was credited as John Eric for some reason, but I'm pretty sure that's it.
Okay.
All right.
Interesting.
Okay.
So let's see. Where do we start?
And Kari Walgren.
Yes. Okay, I already.
Oh, right, 'cause she was
Do you want
grandma.
me to
You're
back-
right.
I forgot. She
Yeah, do
was
you want to-
grandma. My bad.
Like I could probably find some other roles.
No,
in that.
no, you made your point.
Like okay, like
Fooly.
Almine, not Almine. What is it?
Isn't she Saber in one
Yes.
of the...
Yeah,
She's
okay,
Saber
okay,
in
yeah,
the
she's Saber-
Viz Fate.
She's Saber in Fate Zero.
She's Saber in the Ufotable Fate series.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Because
Okay,
she's in both Fate Zero and Unlimited Blade Works.
Okay, yeah, she's a crazy chicken. Eureka 7. I'm not going to be able to pronounce her name right.
Okay.
Yeah, I
It's
know who you're
like-
talking about. The mech
It's,
pilot.
it's like animate or something.
I think it's like Anemone?
Anemone.
Yeah,
She's the pink-haired girl who gets with that guy at the
Yes.
end. I've not seen the
Yes.
show fully, but I know that much.
Yes, it's been a while since I've watched some of the show.
All right.
Yeah. Okay, so thoughts on these?
So, straight up, I'm really excited because for the longest time, Laura Bailey was like straight up one of my voice acting crushes, and I've never actually had an opportunity to talk about how amazing she is on the show. Laura Bailey's a amazing, and like honestly, like one of my favorites, like was one of my old favorites before I started doing dub talk and discovering some new talent and impressive people in the broadcast dubs I cover. But no, she's fantastic as Dragon Kid. I really liked the episode where it was basically about her basically trying to be this badass tomboy, doesn't really give a shit about who she is, her family, or like trying to even appear like feminine, which to her is something she's sort of ashamed of, but then it's like she eventually grasps onto this and she's like, I like my roots, I like my family, and I'm okay with the fact that I'm a girl that can kick ass, because she's the only one that can take care of the crying child, because everybody else is stupid and incompetent and can't have children, even the actual dad.
I'm about to say, especially the actual dad.
Which, to be fair, is kind of telling for later on in the series, but that's another thing. I really like Dragon Kid a lot. Laura Bailey has a lot of spunk, but also a lot of charm to this character as well. I really like every time she's interacting with the other characters, and she stuck out to me a lot. His name is John Bertany?
John
Bentley is, how do I describe him? Fucking fabulous. God damn, work it.
Okay, no. The correct pun is he's flaming.
Now that was bad. You go in a corner and think about what you've done. Do not come back until you've discovered what you have done. And you start clapping in the corner. Go into your other corner.
Jairus.
And you think about what you've done.
Jairus, I want you to know I'm so proud of you right now. I've trained you well.
Get the fuck out.
Anyways, he is a character and a half with this particular character. It is a very like flamboyant, like, you know, typically like stereotypical homosexual character, but I think Fire Emblem, I can't get over that this character's name is Fire Emblem because I love the Fire Emblem series so much. That's amazing. It still trips me up. But no, Fire Emblem's a very interesting character. I didn't expect to like them as much as I did, but they're kind of badass when they get to their to fighting. Fire Emblem's really cool. The power of fire is really cool, so anytime you can work with that, it's really cool. Also, I think there's a sequence or two in the Jake Martinez thing where he actually drops the act of doing the flamboyant voice and actually sounds really gruff. It's like, oh, god damn it. I was like,
yeah.
Like, he drops a few odd things when he, like, when his car gets destroyed, and that was really funny.
Yeah.
That did happen.
Now,
Yeah.
Blue Rose.
He's eating right now, aren't you?
I'm sorry, I had fries. Anyways, Blue Rose. This was a character I thought I wasn't going to like at first. I thought she was going to be a little too stuck up or, like, too professional. But, no, she's really interesting. Like, I like the struggle of, like, that she wanted to use the hero thing to promote what she actually wanted to do. But she eventually comes around to the actual position of being a hero and really, ironically enough, warms up to the idea. Which, she's funny and she's really interesting. And I actually kind of enjoy the romantic subplot they gave her. Because at first you implied like this was going to be so much worse than... I was thinking she was going to go full-on yandere stalker or something. Kind of like the guy at her concert, ironically enough. But no, it's just like a one-sided schoolgirl crush. And it's adorable. And like I genuinely see her warming up to the idea. Like you figured, oh, she would have thought Barnaby was hot. No, she's into more mature men. And I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah.
Which...
And then you...
Okay, the book fucking had me on my ass laughing. 101 ways to seduce a single father. Like, holy shit. I'm not even mad. I respect the quest for the dick. No. Anyways, on to the actual performance itself. Carrie Walgreen does a really good job conveying this sort of spunky teenager character. Like, she's a little sexy and puts on an act, but most of the time she's just a kid that's just trying to go about her daily life, and you can hear the reluctance and that she doesn't really care that much, but when she does, she puts her heart on the line. And that really impressed me. This was a character I didn't think I was going to like, but they surprised me. I was surprised. All in all three of these badass femme fatales are awesome and amazing. Personal shout out to Laura Bailey, because that's an old voice acting crush, and she's still amazing every time I hear her. And yeah.
Okay,
I'm gonna eat now.
I'm gonna eat now. So Laura Bailey is Laura Bailey. I mean, I don't really have general issues with her. But Dragon Kid, despite having a bit more character development compared to Fire Emblem and Rock Bison, Dragon Kid kind of ended up going into the background a bit. So with Laura, I thought Dragon Kid was fine. She really did get to shine during the episode with the mayor's baby, the mayor's kid. And I thought that was very enjoyable. But she kind of ended up going into the background after that, and it's not too memorable to me. John Eric Bentley. Ooh, sweet baby Jesus. It was, I wasn't sure about this performance at first, because obviously this is the first time I'm hearing John Eric Bentley before, but going into it and watching him go for like 20 minutes was probably some of the most music things in the world. But I did enjoy the performance. It was very flamboyant and very out there, and it was just a lot of fun. And can I just say, because again, I finished this series, what is it now, maybe a couple hours ago now, and at the end, when Fire Emblem becomes the new drinking buddy of Rock Bison, and he kind of pinches his butt at the bar. I'm sorry, that was great. I loved that. And Travis's reaction to it was just perfect for having his ass pinched. It was great. As for Kari, or should I say our Selena Kyle ripoff here, Kari Walgren, I think among like the secondary heroes that we see here, she generally has the most screen time out of all of them.
I would almost say she was a primary hero.
Almost, I would say, yeah. Because not only did she get to shine during her development episode where she's going back and forth about what she really wants to do, she partially because of that love subplot and maybe a few other factors in there too, she kind of becomes a larger role, and seeing Kari go through those motions that Karina Blue Rose gets to go through is very, very intriguing and interesting. And I'll admit, I miss Kari Walgren in anime.
Oh god, I just finally got it. Karina Lyle. Fuck.
You didn't realize this when we introduced the character?
No, actually.
We were talking about it. We were talking about it when we first talked about the character.
Oh my god.
Wow.
Here's where my mind went. I thought it was a reference to one of the Green Lanterns whose name his name was Kyle something. And
no, I only got the reference when I was looking at my list and I saw her actual full name, and I'm like, fuck, this is a Selena Kyle reference, isn't it?
Okay, real talk. My mind went a weird place. I thought it was a reference.
Your mind always goes in a weird place.
Even weirder this time, because I thought it was a reference to that Green Lantern.
Oh boy.
Because of the fact that, like, the infamous scene with that Green Lantern is that his girlfriend is basically, like, found in a refrigerator. So I assumed that was where the cold reference and the ice powers came from.
Ooh.
Yeah, no, that's a weird thought. I don't know. I feel bad.
That is a weird thought. But, Anyway, I did like Kari's performance here as Blue Rose. I think the only problem I have is the whole love subplot thing. Yes, it seemed adorable, but I'm also coming off of Gosick 2 at the same time. Because I had to record both these, and both of these are 2 core shows. So I went from watching the first half of Gosick to the first half of Tiger and Bunny to the second half of Gosick to the second half of Tiger and Bunny. So I was watching them simultaneously, basically. And I wasn't a fan of the whole romantic subplot, but that's only because of the whole, because the Gosick episode will probably be out by now. I wasn't a fan of the whole Marquis de Blua Cordelia situation, and because at least 2 of you motherfuckers are with me on this one.
Okay, no, I thought you were gonna say, like, the whole Avram situation.
No.
I thought that's what you were thinking of.
Okay, you're gonna have to film me on this one, because
Let's keep the biases of the other show.
No, that's my issue with trying to do both shows back and forth. That's more on my fault and my problem with it. So basically, roots for spoilers here.
I don't get it!
So Marquis de Blua is Victorique's father, and Cordelia is Victorique's mother. So essentially how Victorique came into being, Marquis de Blua kidnaps Cordelia, essentially rapes her, and then we have Victorique. And guess who plays these?
I didn't.
And guess who plays these fucking roles, and it's great.
Okay, Steph.
No.
Steph, I'm going to actually interrupt you and say, what the fuck does this actually have to do with Blue Rose?
I don't know. My brain went to weird places.
This is okay. I don't.
This is more on. This is more on the fault of me watching both these shows side by side. Basically, that's my fault and my brain adjusting to these different shows.
Okay,
that's
so,
on me. It's not the fault of the show. That's just me watching this and Gosick at the same fucking time. By the way, Marquis de Blue is David Wald and Cordelia is Elizabeth Maxwell. You're welcome.
Okay,
that was a diversion.
So while we get Steph's mind out of the gun.
But bottom line, I did enjoy all 3 of these performances. And for me, between the 3, I would say the standout probably Kari Walgren between these 3. And then unfortunately, because again, after her character development episode, Laura Bailey just unfortunately kind of fades into the background a bit more. So.
Yeah.
Now.
Okay, thoughts, Roots?
Alright, so more or less going in order from weakest to strongest. I would probably agree with Lilac on those points. Laura Bailey as Dragon Kid was excellent, but it's a shame that she just doesn't do much after her character development episode, which is unfortunately really early in the show.
Yeah, it is.
Like, it is within the first, 6, 7 episodes?
Yeah, about that.
Sounds about right, yeah.
Yeah.
And then she's just shoved into the corner, and not a lot is done with her after that. Second of which is John Eric Bentley as Fire Emblem. I like the performance. I'm a little weirded out with the gay stereotype, but...
Oh, it is very hard.
It's very stereotypical, honestly.
That's not on the dub actor, though. He's just going off of what he's got.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, that's more on the fault probably of the character itself, if anything.
Right.
Yeah.
But, I do need to get to Tiger and Bunny The Rising. I wanted to have that taken care of before the episode, but I just didn't have time.
Okay, what is this character's deal in The Rising?
Yeah, what is his story anyway?
Okay, I actually have seen The Rising.
Okay.
So without going into details on the actual plot of the movie, so there's a bit in the episode where we're shown a little bit of Fire Emblem's backstory. So long story short, it's just like his parents finding out about his whole sexuality and how he had to like struggle with that.
Okay.
And it's pretty interesting.
Okay, so there actually is a subplot about him dealing with his sexuality. That's interesting.
Okay, that is interesting.
Yeah, I've heard that it does a lot in favor of Fire Emblem's character. I really wish I had.
Yeah.
Would have been nice to see that in the show, but okay.
Yeah. I mean, because it's like probably at least back in the early 2010s or so, because this show was 2011 if I remember right.
Right.
It was probably very rare to see anime go into like homosexuality and these kinds of characters in their stories. So I can appreciate them going, Sunrise in particular too. I can appreciate them like taking that risk at the time and going into that like in full force, honestly.
Yeah, I think Rising was what, 2014, 2015?
Rising was probably 2014. We got it around 2015.
How much you want to bet regarding the particular fandom this show's accumulated that Fire Emblem has like 0 fan art or dojin?
Fire Emblem is actually a pretty popular character.
Okay.
Nice, good.
That's good.
Okay.
Like I don't think there are too many unpopular.
Okay, sorry I interrupted you there. I was just genuinely like.
Oh no.
Yeah.
No, don't worry about it. I do really like the fact that he kind of dropped the persona in the in like the big robot suit episode.
Oh yeah,
I
lost my shit at that. I was like, oh wow.
Because it shows that
They
he
destroyed
is
my car.
pissed.
Yep. That was great.
But
Phenomenal.
moving on to Kari Walgren and Blue Rose, I actually do really like her arc. It is a little weird considering she's in high school and she's kind of pining for the divorced dad. I'm sorry, not divorced dad, widower.
Okay,
Yeah.
Two things.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, it might help if we knew what Contessa's actual age was, but it's
To be fair, one, you really don't help who you crush on. Like, that's something you can't really control. Second of which, it's really genuinely like a schoolyard, like schoolgirl crush. So it genuinely is pretty like inoffensive.
I mean,
No.
Let's look at it this way, Roots. It's not a Tsukigakure situation. You know what I'm talking about when I was talking about Tsukigakure.
Oh, absolutely. But here's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't end as a crush, though. In the
Yeah.
very last episode,
Yeah.
she has how to woo a single dad. She has that book in her hand.
Let's face it, the girl is thirsty. She's thirsty.
If there was only a way you could quench that thirst. Oh wait, Pepsi next. For when you gotta deal with the unending urge to bang a single dad.
God damn it, Andrew! Go in the corner.
Disclaimer: we're not
And
actually
take my
sponsored by
hip
Pepsi
flask. Get a
I'm
nip of the
already
creature while
in
you're
the
at it.
corner. I'm so far
Go
in the
to it.
corner. There's no escape.
Take my flask. You've earned it. Just drink it.
No, don't encourage him. Jesus Christ.
I don't
Okay.
need it back. You can keep
Jet,
it. for
just
future
please go.
episodes.
Jet, end our
Alright,
misery.
I'm
right now.
gonna
Let's
go.
But
Okay,
I'm sorry. But in all seriousness, Kari Walgren's performance was absolutely spot on. She got sort of the confusion of a teenage girl, not only going through a crush, but trying to figure out her life going forward, her heroism, her singing career. Like, she's a Renaissance woman, and it's really great that Kari Walgren was able to show that.
okay, alright, so I'll go.
Yes.
Alright, so like Travis will again, this was one of Laura Bailey's first kind of anime roles outside of like your Naruto's or your Bleaches. And while she was mainly just doing her usual thing here, Laura Bailey's usual thing is pretty much always great. And she was great here. She did a really great job of making Dragon Kid come off as endearing, even if I actually kind of thought her like solo episode was the weakest out of the ones all the heroes got. But anyway, I really like Dragon Kid. As far as John Eric Bentley goes, for his first outing, I thought he did a great job at Fire Emblem. I particularly liked how, similar to the Japanese tracks that I have seen the show in Japanese, I really like how he kind of spoke in falsetto most of the time, and then he like dropped a few octaves whenever Fire Emblem got really angry about something. So I thought that was really great in terms of comedy. And I also liked the character for the most part. I mean, I thought the earlier episodes went kind of back and forth on how much of a stereotype he was supposed to be, but eventually they found some kind of decent middle ground, like towards the middle of the show, and just like letting Fire Emblem be the mom of the group, and I thought that worked pretty well. Again, like you guys already said, it kind of sucked the character didn't get a solo episode of the show, but we have the second movie for that, I guess, so I suppose it pans out. And then Blue Rose, that poor, poor girl.
Oh boy.
So I gotta say that between this episode and covering Avril for Gosick, this has been a really bad week for girls with unrequited thirsts on this show.
Their friends are so bad.
Because you know that's never gonna pan out.
You know,
No, it's
I
not.
don't think this one was as bad as Gosick. I don't think this one was as bad as Gosick. Because in
Fair.
Gosick,
Avril got friend zoned so bad.
by
It
the
was
ocean!
bad. By the ocean.
I don't get it!
I know you don't. That's why I don't want to talk about it any further. But
Dude,
Okay,
bottom line,
but-
watch Gosick. You have to.
I don't get it!
Okay, so bad jokes aside, I really liked her a lot. I really dug the whole contrast between the whole seductive persona she has to play on stage versus the kind of normal teen she is in real life. And I could really feel for her when it came to how much she hated the idea of having to put on that kind of performance just to sell herself as a singer.
Oh,
And it was
God.
really nice to see.
I'm sorry, go ahead. I just came to a realization.
Oh no.
Okay. So anyway, it was really nice seeing her eventually come to terms with being a hero for, like, heroism's sake. And I really liked her whole dynamic with Kotetsu and how he inspired her, even if her crush was pretty much doomed from the start. And I thought Kyrie Walgren did a pretty great job with just about all of her material here. And it really reminded me of why she's one of my favorite actresses, because she got the character so quickly that after a while it didn't even feel like performance. It felt like I was watching an actual person. And when you can pull that sort of thing off that effectively, it really speaks to how talented she is. And yeah, she was great. That's basically it for me.
Okay.
Okay, so I was gonna mention this as I was talking about Blue Rose, but I completely forgot about it.
Okay, what?
Episode 13? 14? I think it's 14.
It's 14.
Okay.
The one where she's training
Yes, it's 14.
Kotetsu and Barnaby.
Right.
To
for
do the
that
dance.
single, yeah.
Like, that was a really good episode, and in particular, the revelation when the creeper dude is in her costume and she's freaking out. Like, that was great.
The towel.
Yeah. The towel actually becoming a plot point later.
That's great.
She was like one of the ones that actually believed him even though she lost her memory. And I thought
Yup.
that was really sweet.
That was great.
Okay, well, I've said my piece.
Well,
Let's talk some dudes.
well,
Talk some
and
bromance.
fan art.
this section's a little
Bromance.
cold.
And fan art of dudes.
This section's a little cold,
Yep.
but I think we can put it on hold.
Yep. Okay, yep.
Andrew?
It is.
I fucking hate you.
Okay.
You son of a bitch.
I tried.
I love you when
You
he
can have my
tries- I love
backup
you when he
class
does it.
now.
Okay, so yes, it's finally time to get to the characters who lost state thousand fan arts and who are pretty much the reason why this show became so popular. We have our two lead characters, Kotetsu T. Kaburagi, aka Wild Tiger, and Barnaby Brooks Jr., who has no hero
He
name for
decided
some
to just
reason.
use his real name.
He has pretty eyelashes.
Hey, can
He
we
has
take
long
5
minutes?
eyelashes. Yes.
Okay, so Barnaby is new to the hero scene, and he has dedicated his life to fighting crime.
I gotta
in
find
order to
out.
one day track down the criminal responsible for killing his parents. In other words, he is basically just a less sexy version of Batman.
No,
Yes, he
you're
is.
wrong. He's a sexier version of Sasuke.
Shut
no,
the
he's
fuck
Batman.
up. We're not
he
there.
Is not Sasuke. No, he's not Sasuke, he's Batman.
He's Batman. Let's face it, it's fucking Batman. Don't change
so Okay, so Kotetsu, on the other hand, is a veteran hero who's kind of down on his luck as his popularity is fading, and he finds himself thrust into a partnership he doesn't really want in order to stay relevant. So, playing Barnaby, we have Mr. Yuri Lowenthal, and playing Kotetsu, we have Wally Weir.
Which is probably the first time we're ever talking about these gentlemen.
Yes, indeedy. So Yuri Lowenthal is a pretty well-known name, and he has a ton of credits across anime, games, and Western animation, including Yosuke Hanamura from Persona 4 The Animation, Simone from Gurren Lagann, Shinriki Uratani from Durara, Ben Tennyson from the Ben 10 franchise, and of course everyone's favorite emo boy, Sasuke Uchiha from the Naruto
Your
franchise.
favorite.
Wally Wingert, on the other hand, isn't as well known, but he's been in anime and Western animation for a long time, and you've heard him in roles such as Bronco from Zatch Bell, Amshell from Blood Plus, Manchu Leomon from Digimon Data Squad, Ant-Man from Avengers Earth's Mightiest Hero, and of course Reggie Varai from Bleach.
I didn't know he was Amshell. Fuck. Okay.
That's cool. So,
Yeah.
where to begin? Boy, I know I was saying the Sasuke thing, it's like, I was only partially kidding, but he does a really good job at being this charismatic, cool, pretty boy, sexy figure, but also really genuinely troubled, angry, and enraged at what the hell happened to his parents. And that's something that sticks with him for the whole show. And, jeez, indigestion. Ugh. Oh, that's gross. Anyways, I think that Barnaby is a very interesting character throughout. It took me a while to get used to him. I thought he was just gonna be like, I'm tired of your shit, old man. But he really grows into the partnership, like, start of the second half, and it's genuinely kind of cool. And you can tell he's genuinely hurt at the idea of Kotetsu leaving him when he needs him. And I like their dynamic. It's a buddy cop movie in a sense. These two are basically a buddy cop corporate superhero movie, and it's fantastic. I think Yuri does a standout job. He's really good at being emotional as well as kind of being a comedic goof at times when he wants to be. But if you really want to talk goofs, let's talk Wally. Because holy shit, he is basically the wacky, kooky dad of everybody, but he genuinely has a kind heart and is a total badass. I don't hear him ever in anime, but Wally does a exceptional amount of effort and ability to manage to get Kotetsu Kaburaki to come alive as a person to me. And that says a lot. The dynamic between these two is what sells this show. Maybe for different reasons for some, but absolutely what sells this show is these two characters. And I absolutely can certainly say that both of the English voice actors carry it just as well.
Okay.
And here we are with another Izetta situation, but this time it's Lilac looking for porn.
Wait,
Not Andrew this time.
Wait.
No, legit, I just did a Google image search just of Tiger and Bunny. Nothing porn related. And I'm just looking through just to find, like, random OTP shit with just the basic thing. A basic search. I find a goddamn image of Rock Bison and Origami Cyclone making out. I'm not shitting you. It's a ship, apparently.
Did those two ever talk?
I don't know.
That one
I'm
doesn't
just
even
like,
make
what
sense
is
to
this?
me.
No, it doesn't make sense. But I'll admit, some of the images of Kotetsu and Barnaby are kind of adorable. I'm just saying.
I can see Steph's
I'm
fanning
okay
the
with this
flames.
romance. I can see this romance being a thing, but the Rock Bison Origami Cyclone one just surprised the shit out of me. I had to type it, and now Roots brings it up. My bad.
Okay.
I'm sorry. That was funny.
It is.
You know
we
what?
do have
That
no,
was
it's
funny because it's you this time and not Andrew.
It's an Izetta /
Everybody
Love Live
always
situation.
thinks I'm the fucking
Yeah,
delinquent.
No,
Because you did!
No, this is...
It's an Izetta
Okay,
Love
no,
Live
no.
situation because the Love Live
Okay.
shit was funny too.
No. This is something I would expect from Megan, not from
Exactly! You're right! You're right! You're right! You're absolutely right.
Okay. We gotta get this shit back on
We gotta get
course,
this shit
'cause
back
it's
on
like
trail.
I'm sorry.
10:30.
I'm sorry, boys. I'm just
Steph.
full of surprises.
Steph.
I'm sorry.
Steph.
What?
Since
What?
you're already in the mood to talk about dudes being bros, let's segue to you. What'd you think of these two?
Okay. I gotta put my phone down. Hold on. Okay.
Yes, please.
I'm sorry. I was just like sometimes my curiosity gets the best of me. I'm sorry, guys. This is why I'm single, everyone. Give me a second. So, of course we don't get to talk about these two ever, which is very interesting. It took me like half of the first core to realize who Wally was. I'm like, why does his voice vaguely sound like Renji from Bleach? I look it up. Oh fuck, it is him. And then I was like, great realization, Steph. Good job. And then Yuri Lowenthal is Yuri Lowenthal, for God's sake. But both of them, I really enjoyed them. Especially Wally, because this is probably one of the very few times we actually see him in a leading role. And for him playing Kotetsu, because let's face it, Kotetsu's not the best hero in the world. He's also not the best father in the world. But he does have this heart of gold, and he really wants to do his best in order to be the kind of hero that people can look up to. Similar to him looking up to Mr. Legend, because kind of going back, we brought it up a few times, Kotetsu's story, to some respect, ends up paralleling Mr. Legend's, because Kotetsu, throughout the course of the second half of the series, he starts slowly losing his powers. And it's very interesting to see that progression, and Kotetsu's struggle to figure out what he's gonna do, especially once he does lose his powers entirely. And legit, my thing is, I would have been fine in the end if Kotetsu did retire, but it also would have been against his character for doing it. So I have mixed feelings about the end, because Kotetsu ends up coming back. He unretires. He pulled a not a Mamano Hosoda. Miyazaki. He pulled a Miyazaki. He came out of retirement. But instead he joins the B Squad, and he just changes the name to Wild Tiger in a Minute, which is a really stupid name, by the way. But seeing Wally not only as a lead character for probably maybe one of the first and only times, but also watching him portray Kotetsu as this lovable goofball with a heart of gold who may not be the most responsible person in the world, and watching his progression throughout the course of the show itself was very intriguing, and I enjoyed it a lot. Yuri Lowenthal, in his case with Barnaby, I mean, Jet, you're right. He's a sexier Batman in a sense.
No, I said he's less sexy
less
Batman.
sexy Batman. One of the two. Still, Barnaby's rather attractive, just saying. But,
So, have you seen Bruce Wayne?
which one?
Get paid.
Which one? Too many.
All of
All of them. Everyone. No, seeing Yuri Lowenthal, to some extent, I'm sorry, he was playing Sasuke all over again.
Yep. It was.
But that's not the fault of Yuri. That's the fault of Barnaby's character for being so similar in the whole revenge plot thing, similar to Sasuke and Naruto. But I am thankful and glad that Yuri did not play it as emo as he did with Sasuke. And to be fair, I stopped watching Naruto years ago, and I still remember what Yuri Lowenthal sounds like as Sasuke. It's not my favorite thing in the world. And because I know Yuri Lowenthal can bring outstanding performances, this may have not been my favorite, because I think Wally may have outshined him as Kotetsu, but at the same time, it's one of those things where I feel like it's the fault of Barnaby's character in general that causes this problem. But I did enjoy Yuri Lowenthal as Barnaby. He plays the stoic well. He does really well with the revenge plot, of course. And then when we were talking about banter and how much we enjoyed the banter very early on in the episode, most of the banter, of course, comes between Kotetsu and Barnaby. And I think that's probably the highlight of the show in general, is just this banter back and forth. Because, Andrew, you're right. This is like a buddy cop movie with these two. And it's very interesting with their dynamic and their relationship, just seeing it grow from basically hating each other, not wanting to work with each other, to now, by the end, becoming good partners and essentially best friends and playing off each other so well. I think it's a very good progression. I loved how that relationship ended up. But yeah, I think both Wally and Yuri played these roles very well. I just think probably my favorite performance has to go to Wally, because I just got so much enjoyment out of him as Kotetsu, and I really wish that he gets like major lead roles more often. I'm very sad about this now. I did enjoy it.
I like how you stuttered where you're like, at the end of their relationship, they became good friends. Good
that
friends.
Wasn't on purpose.
I know it wasn't, but the fact that
I was trying to collect my thoughts.
Because when you think of that, you really have to think about how romantic that almost death scene was.
I understood.
Long eyelashes, Barnaby. You have long eyelashes. I'm sorry. That is the moment when that ship sailed. That is the moment when that ship sailed, when Kotetsu complimented his long eyelashes. I'm sorry. That is when that ship sailed.
Maybe if there's ever any more, it's going to be like that one internet image where it's just Blue Rose holding Kotetsu's hands, like, this is my boyfriend Kotetsu, this is Kotetsu's boyfriend Barnaby.
Oh my god, this needs to be...
damn it. Make that a thing, fan artists. Go!
It was really funny watching... I gotta say, it was really funny watching this show week to week back when it was simulcasted, because, like, there was a whole week where everyone was genuinely not sure if Kotetsu was dead or not. So...
Oh yeah! His life signs were gone because his suit was destroyed.
How did he live, by the way?
No. I don't know either, but here's the funny thing that made it great. When Kotetsu was like, did you even check my pulse, dude?
Okay, yeah.
And Barnaby didn't bother checking his pulse. He was kind of busy dealing with asshole named Maverick over there in the corner, so. He didn't have time to check your pulse, Kotetsu, to make sure you weren't dead.
Oh, that's great.
I'm sorry, I'm back on my phone again, don't mind me.
Okay, while she's looking up the art, who wants to go next?
All of the art.
Oh, yeah, I'm up. Alright. Yeah, so I guess the key word of this episode is banter.
Yes.
Banter. I gotta give a lot of props to the scriptwriters for this one, because, you know, actors are only half of the story. The writers and the directors are also the other part. And the two of them feel really, really well coordinated. It differs from the Japanese quite a bit because, you know, English doesn't flow the same way Japanese does. You kind of have to alter things around, especially when things need to be comedic. But, they are easily the best part of the show. Just Barnaby and Kotetsu not necessarily trying to get along. In fact, in the first, I would say, like, up to the last fight of the first half.
It wasn't until, like, he really was pushing himself out of the hospital to try and help him where they really started working together.
Like, they were...
They
were in an absolutely antagonistic relationship until the Jake Martinez incident. And then,
No, that's not quite right. Like, Barnaby was slowly starting to warm up to him after Kotetsu took a bullet for him for the whole lunatic thing.
Yeah, that's
but
true.
yeah, they didn't like really start coming together until the lunatic Martinez thing.
Yeah, so, and then they really start getting along, and then Maverick comes along. There is a wedge between them. Like, the dynamic between the two characters, even within the show itself in Japanese, is great. And I love that Yuri Lowenthal, Wally Wingert, they were able to come together and kind of one-up the Japanese voice actors on it.
Mm-hmm.
I like how Barnaby is sort of Sasuke, but like a little more likable, even in the beginning when he's supposed to be a jerk, and towards the end when he's kind of going through the emo phase.
Of course he's more likable. He's not trying to be cool. He's trying to be hot.
Fair.
And then you've got Kotetsu on the other hand, like, he fails at everything. He's not very good at being a hero, he's not very good at being a dad, but he tries, and that's the important part of his character. He knows he's kind of screwing up, but he wants to be better. And I like how the English voice actors were able to kind of hit on that.
Okay. So are those all your thoughts?
Yep.
Or?
More or less.
Take the stage, Jet.
Okay, so like with Liam O'Brien being lunatic, I had wanted either Yuri Lowenthal or Johnny Young Bosch for Kotetsu, so I was very happy that I ended up getting what I wanted here. I really like how Yuri Lowenthal plays up the whole suave, pretty boy facade that Barnaby plays up versus the lonely child he is underneath, because he is basically a lonely child deep down. And while it's easy to say he's just playing another variation of Sasuke, he gets to display a lot more emotional range here than he ever did with Emo Lad, and it's some of his finest work, I thought. And as far as Wally Wingert goes, my whole experience with this casting choice was very interesting. Okay, to give you an idea of how old this show is now, back when Biz was a villain to dubcast, I was seriously expecting Troy Baker to be Kotetsu, and good luck trying to get Troy Baker out of these days.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so I hadn't ever really watched the movie stuff back then, so I didn't really know much about Wally Wingert as an actor. And at first I wasn't sure how good of a fit he would be, because Kotetsu Seiwa Hiroaki Hirata, who you might know as the Japanese voice of Sanji from One Piece, he has a very deep voice, and Wally Wingert does not. So I wasn't really sure if he was going to be able to play up the whole, like, tired, middle-aged man as well as he did. But when I actually got to listen to the actual performance, I was really blown away by how much personality he brought to it. Like, he got across every ounce of Kotetsu's goofiness, and he was just an absolute riot to listen to. Like, he was just as strong when it came to, like, all the really somber moments. And while I do think his Kotetsu sounds a little younger than Hirata's, I feel like his performance is just as effective, and for an actor I wasn't very familiar with beforehand, what I got here was pretty much about as strong of a first impression as you can really get. But of course what really works is Yuri and Wally's performances is how well the two of them play off of each other. Like, the chemistry between both of their characters and their performance styles feels completely believable. And one of the things I really appreciated about the voice director for this show is that Jamie Simone actually mentioned during a con panel that he actually went out of his way to make sure the performances matched up as well as possible. Like, he would actually bring them back to re-record lines if one of them delivered, like, a joke or a heavy moment a certain way. And you can really feel the results because these two just play off of each other really effectively, like, pretty much all the time. And these two performances, they're really the heart and soul of the show. And even with how good of an ensemble we got here, like, these two gentlemen just really stand out.
Okay.
Yeah.
We all like them a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So are you ready to move?
By the way, I just want to say right now, I actually did decide to do the thing and just type Kotetsu Barnaby in Google. There was really not... I was expecting so much worse. That was all.
No, it's not. It's not bad.
It's pretty tame.
It's pretty tame. No, did you look at the Skype chat, especially at the first one I linked in there?
Oh God,
it's adorable.
I didn't see you linked
All right,
any.
let's see here.
It's
Let's
so
see if I can
adorable.
Google seppuku.
What did you link? Okay, you know what? That is fucking cute. That is cute.
It's
Okay.
great.
I'm
So-
just gonna. gonna throw out final thoughts. Just plug in random pairings and see if I get something good.
You know what? Okay. While you're
No,
doing
no.
that, I will give
No.
my final thoughts on
Can I
the series.
just explain the image I linked to? So the image I linked to is it's basically of Kotetsu, Barnaby, and Kaede, and Kotetsu is like trying to tackle Kaede and like prevent her from basically tackling Barnaby and hugging him. But in the process, Barnaby runs into like a metal pole.
By the way, another
It's
thing.
great.
If they do,
I love it.
if those two ever do get together, that'd be very awkward because it's like, I had a crush on a superhero, and now my dad's dating him.
That would be
No,
awkward.
no, I had a superhero, and now he's my new daddy.
Ooh.
Boy, there's an awkward story there. Anyways, now that we've got the jokes out of the way, I'm actually really glad I got to watch this series because it feels like I watched a superhero series from a few years ago and seeing what kind of media was coming of it then. You see a big focus on commercialism and you see a big deal on the reality TV buddy cop aspect, which was really interesting because I feel like My Hero Academia in a way is very much like though the superheroes are civil servants of the people. And while they do still advertise and stuff, it is more like a civic duty. In a way, this is like, we need to make the money by being a hero. How do we make the money? And that's how you do it. I really think it's interesting. You've got a very good, colorful cast of characters. The dynamic between these two pretty much sells the show. And this is a really interesting dub to look back from a few years ago. Because you got a lot of interesting names, several of which you don't really get to see in a lot of current anime dubs. And I think it's really interesting. It's an interesting product of its time. And even the CG. I was thinking the CG was going to be really bad. The CG is surprisingly decent. The only time I ever had a problem with it was when they made all of the CG for Fire Emblem, because that's not supposed to be a robot suit. That's just a guy. So that was weird to me. But all in all, solid show. Really fun. It's too bad there's a couple of stories that are left unfinished, but somebody else take it.
Oh boy. I guess that's me. I'll put my phone down again. I'm a terrible person. You guys are terrible influencers on me sometimes.
That was pure.
No, not you, Roots. I'm probably more pointing towards Andrew and Megan and Gigi. Mostly Megan and Gigi because, you know, us ladies, we talk trash on a regular basis.
I see.
Get on with it!
Get on with it!
I'm sorry, I'm tired,
No,
and this
come
is a
to-
3-hour
come to the-
recording at this point.
Come to the dark side. We have pretty boys.
Yes! Yes! You know my pain. Let's see. As someone who watched this show completely for the first time, I only knew very little about it. Outside of, like, basic summary. But, I'm very, very glad that Jet pestered me for so long to watch this damn show. It's definitely an interesting take on superheroes in general because you have, like we've been talking about this whole time, the whole superhero thing is more of a corporate capitalist kind of situation compared to some other superhero stories where we don't have that. So that's a very unique spin in and of itself. And otherwise than that, it's kind of, the show itself is kind of paint by numbers in a way, with normal superhero shows, and that's fine. I'm okay with that. It's not a flawless story. It has its problems. Oh, does it have its problems? I mean, I will fully agree with Andrew. Why did they CGI Fire Emblem? Just why? I don't get it. But despite the flaws of the show itself, the show is still rather enjoyable. I did have fun watching it. The dub itself, because I still rarely watch California dubs. I get to talk about California dubs, but this one was very enjoyable. It had some fun performances that I wouldn't really get to see very often from people that normally I've seen as secondary or background characters, i.e. Wally, and just turned in some great performances. And the dub has its flaws too. Again, my big problem, and that's more on the part of the studio itself, Studiopolis, the whole double casting situation, because despite having characters that you can distinguish well enough, they are still voiced by the same person, and especially if you have that person with a very, very distinct voice, i.e. Vic Mignogna, it kind of brings me out of it a little. But I really love the performances. I love the script and the direction that it went into, and especially the word of the night is banter. Especially the banter between Wally and Yori was so genuine to me and a lot of fun. So the dub in general was a lot of fun, despite the flaws that I had, the problems I have with it, as they are rather minor in the grand scheme of things. But I really like the show. I like the dub. It's not one of my favorite things in the world, because generally I'm not too heavy into action series and things like this, but I still had a lot of fun with it, and thank you, Jet, for pestering the ever-loving shit out of me to finally watch the damn thing. I'm good.
Okay.
You are very welcome.
I'm going back to my phone. I gotta look up more of these images, because I'll admit, they are adorable as shit.
Okay, I guess it's my turn now. So, I get the feeling we're gonna deal with the elephant in the room when we get to Jet.
Probably.
So, let me just say that I really like the dub. The show itself is probably at least in my top 10. If not, maybe the top 5. Just in general.
Dang.
That said, I do have a lot of problems with the ending, namely all the things that coincidentally went right.
All the Deus
order
Ex
to,
Machina shit.
Yeah, the Deus Ex Machina shit. I do have some issue with the double casting, but that's more or less the nature of the beast of Studiopolis. Mainly because they do a lot of things other than anime, and they just grab who they can get. I do, however, kind of want to bring up one other elephant in the room, and I don't think anybody else will, so because of when this got dubbed, when it got released, it ended up kind of being one of those dubs that just kind of got forgotten.
Yeah, the history of this show in the West is pretty interesting.
Like, it got...
Oh,
okay.
Somebody talk!
Say words.
Okay.
It's my turn. It got released more or less right around the time Toonami was starting to become a thing, but it didn't end up on Toonami. In fact, I think Viz basically created Neon Alley as a platform to put this on to try and elevate it.
Right, because this did premiere. It was one of those big premieres on Neon Alley at the time. I remember now.
Yeah, no, okay, in fairness, Viz did go on record as trying to market the show to several TV networks. So I'm pretty sure they did try, it just never happened.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
It was just one of those victims of circumstance.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if the whole logos thing played a part in that, but
Yeah, probably. But I digress. Jet, how did you feel about this show?
Okay, so when Tiger Bunny first came out in 2011, I was mainly drawn to the show simply because Viz had licensed it, and it was one of the first licenses I'd seen from them that wasn't something based on a manga license they had. So I was pretty curious about it. And for the very first episode I saw, I was hooked, and I knew that I wanted this to have a dub that could really stand the test of time. Something that could probably stand, along the lines of, maybe like your Death Notes or your Cowboy Bebop, stuff like that. So while neither the show nor the dub ever really lived on in the minds of anime fans as long as I really would have liked them to, the quality of the dub is pretty much exactly what I wanted, and it really stands as a testament to what English dubs are really capable of when they fire on all cylinders. I mean, yeah, there's some problems with the multicasting and whatnot, but I think the direction of the show really manages to minimize that as much as possible, and the script certainly does a lot to help elevate the show. So anyway, both the show and the dub are very near and dear to me, and I really hope that more people check them out in the future.
Alright. So...
Okay, so before we wrap up, I suppose I should... Okay, does anyone want to plug anything?
Well, first of all, how can we watch this show, Jet?
That's a good question.
It's okay. So it's time for my the show on Shininess. The show is currently available in both sub and English dub on Hulu and Yahoo View, which is technically just like Ghetto Hulu. And you can also now watch the show on Netflix, sub and dub, but be warned because the Netflix version does not have the logos on the suits for some reason. I'm just gonna take a stab and guess it's some kind of like license
I don't-
Seems like the most logical answer.
Let's put it like this. I feel people are overreacting thinking that ruins the show. It doesn't ruin the show, it just ruins the opening. Because
Yeah.
the opening
That opening
is
looks weird
fucking
without the logos.
stupid without the logos. Like, that's
Yeah.
you could argue, like, that's really the only thing it ruins. It's just, anyways, you just skip the opening, and then you just watch it, and it's fucking fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Okay, so does anyone have anything they want to plug real quick?
You can find me over on Twitter at MangaMan9000, otherwise known as Classy Spartan. I'm also regularly lurk on the Funimation forums. I moderate the Funimation Discord, as well as I'm a co-host on Surreal Resolutions Podcast ONA Anime Podcast.
Okay, Lilac?
Let's see. When I'm not bossing this group of this ragtag bunch of humans around, you can follow me on Twitter at Lilac Anime Review, with review being spelled REVUE. Otherwise than that, I don't really do much because I'm either working at my real job or I am constantly working here on a daily basis. So, by the way, because I'm now looking up Origami Cyclone, apparently Origami Cyclone and Sky High are an OTP that exists as well, and I found a lot more of that than I did.
Okay, you see that one I can kind of...
I can kind of see it
understand that one.
more than Origami Cyclone and Rock Bison, but like, the fuck?
Maybe it's the whole Uke Seme thing with Rock Bison and Origami, but I don't know. Anyways, who else has things to plug in?
Rich?
Yeah, you can find me on the twitter.com at Roots of Justice. I mostly retweet pug pics, talk anime stuff, and I wear a nice decorative tinfoil hat. It's really
the most
snazzy.
decorative.
You gotta see it.
It's the most decorative tinfoil hat I've ever seen, guys.
Roots is his own
Okay,
baked
and-
potato, kind of like Maverick.
Yep.
God
Okay, and as
Damn
for
it,
me,
I'm not
you can find me-
baked potato, I'm a cinnamon roll. Wrapped in
Yeah,
nice, warm tinfoil.
The best
Okay,
tinfoil.
as for me, you can find me on the Twitters and whatnot at Divine Dega, or you can read my stuff on my blog, Animation Infinity. And also, I occasionally review things for the Fandom Post, not this season currently, but I do occasionally review things. So anyway, that's mainly it for this episode. Thank you guys for stopping by. And we only really have one final thing left to say.
Alright, let's do this on the count of 3, everybody. Let's do this on the count of 3, okay?
Okay.
Let me do it. 1, 2, 3. Season 2!
Sunrise.
Sorry.
When is season 2, Sunrise?
Come on, Bando Namkai.
Fucking when?
When is season?
Come on, Bando Nam.
When? We need it.
When?
Come on, Bandai Namco.
Make
When,
Kyle the
damn it.
protagonist.
Give it the
You
goods.
can do it. You can do it. You can take a break from the idol to give us this thing.
You're still making products for it. There's
Megan
no
would fight
excuse.
you.
All right.
Megan would fight you on that. But yeah, when is season 2? Because legit, how it ended, there's still some unresolved plot threads, and it's annoying as fuck.
Oh, wow.
Also,
When
it's
is
like
season 2?
one of the most popular anime in Japan of all times.
Also,
Japan.
No, funny enough.
But,
Like, when they did the NHK poll, it was voted the #1 most popular anime of
oh
all
my
time.
god.
It just
Also-
it brings
also-
money.
No.
Come on, Bandai Namco,
Also,
season 2.
also-
Come on, friend.
apparently Origami Cyclone and Dragon Kids are things that exist. Good night, everybody.
Okay, apparently just everybody
Okay, that's
shipped
kind of-
with Origami Cyclone. That's amazing. Good night.
Everybody's being shipped with him. It's great.
He's a good boy.
Okay.
It's weird.
Okay,
The guide pairs are the interesting ones.
yeah.
Good night.
Anyway, good night, everybody.
Good night, guys.
Night, everybody.